So here's a tip for making the cut, and this might seem subtle, but to the person interviewing you, it's not. There is a world of difference between applicants who convey, "I need a job," and those who simply ooze, "I want to work," especially in these lean times when many you're competing with will seem desperate in "I'll take anything" mode. If you convey specific interest in this job at this company, you will be conspicuous. Thus, the value of going to school on the company you're applying to before the interview. With money and attention so tight now, effective communication skills have never been more important. For more tips for job seekers and everyone else, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Patrons at a local Boston sports club watched dumbfounded today as an unidentified man's personal trainer forced him to put on an embarrassing athletic spectacle for the entire gym.
Like a machine, there you go.
According to sources, the degrading little show went on for nearly 45 minutes, with the man reportedly being paraded around every section of the fitness establishment, doing anything his trainer commanded.
I wish I could turn around and concentrate on my workout, but I can't help but keep watching. He has to know how ridiculous he looks.
Sources added that the whole spectacle was made even sadder by the personal trainer encouraging the man to, quote, push himself a little harder.
It's like watching a f***ing trained seal.
Okay, so when you stand like that, you want to feel pressure in your knees, like this, right here, okay? Okay, give it a shot.
You root for him to tell the trainer that he's a human being with dignity and just walk away. But no, he keeps subjecting himself to this.
All right, let's have you get on your back and walk like a crab. Come on.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. Welcome to the show. You can take control of the airwaves. You can bring up whatever is on your mind. That is what we do here on Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE is our toll-free line. That's 855-450-3733. With you tonight, it's Ian.
Nobody.
And Chris.
And the three of us actually just got back from our weekly Friday night gathering at the local Faquin Great restaurant.
It was a good one, too. There were tons of people who showed up.
Dave Ridley from RidleyReport.com showed up
nice.
without his mask on.
Well, he had his mask.
It was around his neck. It was around
his,
but he didn't walk in with it on.
Okay.
And
well, he wasn't all masky when he was with us.
I feel like you've been a little bit harsh and overboard on him.
I haven't been harsh on him.
Maybe I don't understand exactly what it is, that he's doing or saying, but he certainly didn't seem like he was super mask obsessed.
Oh, you haven't been watching his videos?
No, I haven't.
Okay, then you don't know what you're talking about. In that case,
no, I may not.
Right,
but from what I saw today when he was in, he didn't seem mask
This was
obsessed.
the first time I've seen Ridley without a mask in months.
Okay.
So Dave Ridley, great activist, frequent caller here on Free Talk Live, RidleyReport.com. We plugged his site a million times.
Oh, yeah.
But I was surprised the other day when I was watching his videos that he went on an editorial about how he thought libertarians should wear more masks more often, basically. Be more masked than what the government is requiring, because he...
I think we should wear Guy Fawkes masks.
No, not to mock the government, to show that we take that libertarians are taking this seriously, and that because he believes the things that he's been told, even though in the same video he admits that he doesn't really know whether the masks are even effective. But he would every video he's been in the last several months, he's been wearing a mask the entire time.
And that's the thing, is libertarianism contains only philosophical content, not scientific. There will be libertarians on both sides of every scientific issue, whether it's global warming,
abortion,
or abortion. I don't see I see abortion as not being really a scientific issue.
Yeah, it is, because in abortion, the argument is over when there's a life, right?
No, not to me. To me, I mean, there's a life before conception. There's two lives. The sperm is alive and the egg is alive.
Okay.
So,
that's not usually where
life.
people,
So I don't see life as beginning at conception. I see life as beginning at parthenogenesis,
What's that?
That it literally means the beginning of life.
Like the beginning of time, you mean?
Yeah, well, parthenogenesis is creation of life where there is no life. So something that we've never done.
That's pretty deep
as humans.
Yeah.
But we know it happened once, okay, because there's life now, and it looks like there wasn't always life. So, but we exist. So there has been one.
Well, your
instance
position
of
on that is pretty
parthenogenesis.
unusual. I will say that.
But the thing to me is. To me, the question is, what's life going to be like for that kid? And that's what I would tell a mother that came to me for clerical counseling on that is, if somebody is going to live an awful life because you decided not to abort, if there's something wrong with the kid or whatever, then I would say do it.
Or mom's a drug addict or dad's an
and
abuser.
That's the thing. If you've got genetic issues, then maybe not having a kid is a great idea.
I don't know. Like I think the issue is more along the lines of it fundamentally it's until it's out of the womb, it's dependent on the mother, and so it's the mother's body. She can do what she wants, with her own body.
And
I tend to agree with you.
The thing is, there's 10,000 ways that parents kill their kids. Car accidents, all kinds of stupid stuff. That's how evolution works.
Wow.
And if you stop killing, if
that's cringeworthy, but
it's part of how they work. Stupid people kill themselves. They kill their kids. They kill their, they fail to make a living and starve to death.
Yeah.
And if they didn't do, basically the IQ will always fall towards the lowest number that can survive in your society. So the more welcoming you make. Because, if nothing's killing them, they alive.
They'll
reproduce. It's easier to make a simple brain than it is to make a complex brain.
So the reason I brought up the meeting is it was another good one. Not only was Ridley there without a mask, which is nice because you get to see people smiling, and that's always a good thing. But ultimately, we had a new guy. A gentleman came up to visit from Massachusetts, and yet another.
There was two people actually.
Was he from the Freedom Cells also?
You're thinking of the guy from Connecticut who has been up multiple times. He's not.
Steve.
He's not new.
He's old news now.
No, I mean, okay.
I like Steve though.
All right.
Cool.
No, he's great.
He's not. I guess he's
not new.
Brand new. That's true.
Yeah, he's been to probably like 6 or 7.
That
guy was first time.
First time.
First time there.
Well, he was first time in New Hampshire, but he was he not?
Not first time in New Hampshire.
He
was here for Porkfest.
Yeah.
But it was the first time he's just randomly showed up.
Right.
First time in Keene.
Sort of new. I feel like they're both kind of new.
Well, I'd never met him before.
But I don't know if I have either. But
let's go to the phones here. Scott's on the line in Florida. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Scott.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Oh, it's Scott the Bigot.
Nobody and Chris. You may remember me. Ian,
You're unforgettable, Scott.
Thank you. I was on Rush Limbaugh today. He cut me off at the knees, but it doesn't matter.
You must be getting short.
No. It's. Let me tell you something. Coming about short. This country is being destroyed. It's being literally destroyed. And I want to.
I actually agree with you for one, Scott.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad you're on board with this.
There's good news for everyone. With all the misery and the nightmare, this is the good news. This is the silver lining. This rotten U.S. government is going to collapse, not maybe, but absolutely. And it's going to collapse from its own weight. How is it going to collapse? There's going to be a revolution within the next 6 months when the people,
I hope you're
70,
right.
80,
Yeah, me
100
too.
million have no money. The government has been no stimulus, no nothing. They've been holding up the stimulus as a joke. It can't do anything for anyone. 12 million Americans are going to run out by December of their
On their lives?
Benefit. Yeah, their lives are being destroyed. And another thing that's going to happen is that the dollar is going to disintegrate because the Federal Reserve is printing up trillions and trillions. And this
See, being a Bitcoin holder, I applaud that.
Yeah.
Just make me richer. Thank you.
It's going to collapse because it does not reflect Main Street. People on Main Street are suffering.
But you're saying all this like it's a bad thing. It's about time the government collapsed. We've been suffering on the weight of their moronic policies. They're bloodthirsty, insane policies for 200 years. Isn't that long enough?
Too long.
This is what's happening, gentlemen. You've got a Federal Reserve that's printing up trillions.
Yes.
And the money's going to become monopoly money. I predict that in the next few months,
you do realize that the dollar's already lost 96% of its value, right, bro?
It has. And I have to be honest, there's a common denominator between the Federal Reserve and Wall Street and the media. Our country has been overtaken by international Jewish forces.
Now, wait a minute here.
How are all these people Jewish? Because a lot of them are not. The Clintons are not Jewish.
Chris Sununu, the New Hampshire governor, not Jewish.
Isn't Jewish.
There's a tile front. I'm talking about George Soros, Jamie Dimon of J.P. Morgan Chase, Bloomberg.
Yeah, you see, but that's where you're brain damaged there, though, Joe. That's where you're brain damaged. Because, it's like Cantwell. Cantwell was like, oh, well, I found out that Marx was Jewish, so let's kill all the Jews. And I'm like, you idiot. Ludwig von Mises was also a Jew. So was Milton Friedman. So was Murray Rothbard. Okay? There have been Jews on both sides of every great debate in history, and you can only see the half of them you disagree with.
Yep. Thanks for the call tonight, Scott. Appreciate it. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Don't forget about the Jewish synagogue, or whoever they are, the group of Hasidic Jews in New York City that gathered 7,000 people in a building recently.
Mazel tov.
For a wedding in violation of the various different regulations in New York City. They got hit with a $15,000 fine this week. More coming up. Free Talk Live.
News from news.bitcoin.com. Early Bitcoin wallets cashing in. Is Satoshi back? Investment expert Dr. Doom calls Bitcoin a store of value. Bitcoin Cash forks. Everything's fine. Bitcoin price surges above 18,000 US dollars. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com. Free Bitcoin Cash when you download their wallet at bitcoin.com. Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org. Freedom! Freedom is the call of the untamed Scotsman and all others that want to feel the wind under their kilts.
At Free Talk Live, we love the breezy, swinging feeling that only a kilt from Sport Kilt can give.
We teamed up with Sport Kilt to let you experience their form of freedom at a discount. Go to kilts.freetalklive.com and see a picture of Richie and me in our kilts.
And then head over to sportkilt.com. Get some stylish freedom for yourself and use code FTL for a 10% discount. Sportkilt.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Free Talk Live.
This is the first time I've heard your program. I'm hearing this person talk about what a wonderful thing it would be if we had legal drugs.
Yes,
I don't know
Sandy.
where you're getting your information from. I think you've lost your mind. I'm telling you. You don't want to hear. You don't want to hear reality.
I want to hear everything
you
you
don't
have
want
to
to hear
say.
reality. Okay,
Please,
well then
knock me over
stop
with reality,
acting
Sandy.
like a 12-year-old. I'm telling you what about the war on drugs. If you see people on drugs, you might change your mind.
Man, look, my wife works at a drug treatment center, lady.
Oh, good for her.
There you go.
Good for her.
Sandy, I've smoked copious amounts of marijuana.
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that a bit. That's probably what's wrong with your brain.
I've been around plenty of people that have taken
You
drugs,
got a fact
Sandy.
for me, Sandy? One of them? Fact?
I don't have statistics.
Sandy, we're not asking people to smoke marijuana. We're just saying, let's not make it illegal.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You dial toll free. The number here, 855-450-FREE. If you want to join us on the radio, you can bring up anything that you want. Coming up here tonight, Chris, you've got a story in the world of piracy, specifically the specifically the recording industry or motion picture association. These
I just like to refer to it as the entertainment cartel.
There's no
That's a good
such
one.
thing as
Entertainment cartels.
intellectual piracy.
You said the information cartel is what you call them?
Entertainment cartels.
Entertainment. Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, they basically all have monopolies on their own, stuff, and it's the only industry in the world where you can have a monopoly like that, pretty much.
Right.
Exclusive monopoly.
Well, not really. They have it. It's spread into all kinds of industries.
It has,
the medical industry has lots of monopolies, lots of patents.
Yeah, but those patents are actually they expire
the computer,
a lot sooner than copyrights in the entertainment
they
industry.
do. Copyrights go on virtually forever now, and that's mostly Walt Disney's. That's the Diablo. The Diablo Ratan has done
it's not
that.
to say that there aren't patents and other technologies and copyright used in other industries, but it's not a total and utter monopoly. It's frequently you can.
Well, the medical industry, I think, is equally bad.
I don't have the power to stop a convenience store opening across from the street from my convenience store. Certainly Disney does.
Right. If you can get the government city council to do your bidding, then you can stop them, but you on your own.
Well, right.
Yeah, I mean, you form the gang, you sell the drugs, and if you pay the government enough, they'll supply the muscle to keep the competition off your turf.
So one of the things we were discussing tonight, I was telling you earlier when we started the show tonight that we'd all three of us had been at a weekly meetup that we have here in Keene for libertarian crypto types. And there's a new guy there. And one of the discussions we were having was about libertarians who've sort of seemed to be leaning towards statism. I mean,
a lot of these people, I'm not sure if they were libertarian to begin with.
Yeah,
it depends on whether or not they're okay with masks and just if they're okay with the masks, but they're not okay with the government. Then I still think they're libertarian. They probably were before, but if they're going and saying that these rules, these laws that they're passing or orders are okay, they probably were not libertarian.
What about the ones who are saying that they're not in favor of government aggression, but they think that if you don't wear a mask, you're aggressing against them?
Yeah, I mean that's like
I think they're wrong, but
yeah,
it's actually a difficult one to overcome. I mean, there are
it's
things.
Not. Stay away from me if you don't want to. If you don't want to catch something.
But I'll tell you, there are things where if you had that thing like bubonic plague, and you insisted on coming around me, sooner or later getting up close to me, sooner or later I would feel justified in shooting you.
If you are knowledgeably trying to infect somebody, then that's a different story. I'm talking about the so-called libertarians.
I always give these people I give them their space.
I'm talking about
and
the
I expect the same from them.
I'm talking about the so-called libertarians who are going around saying that you are committing manslaughter simply by existing.
That's absurd.
With a
that's a moron, Dennis.
I think there's a stronger argument there, but the problem is that you're seeing so-called libertarians in some instances going overboard with it and making
they're getting
some
crazy.
Absurd claim. The risk, just because there's risk, does not mean that you have some sort of obligation to stop. It's one thing to take a gun and intentionally kill somebody. It's another thing to take a gun and just have it, right? There's a risk to having it maybe, but it doesn't mean that somebody's going to be killed. Where it's the same like with driving. It's like you get on the road, you're taking a risk. You might get killed, somebody else might get killed, but you shouldn't be able to stop somebody from getting on the road and taking that risk.
This is the year where so-called libertarians have gone off the rails and have completely lost track of their humanity. And I'll give you another example. Penn Jillette, who for a long time
I was always skeptical.
Was a big fan. I've been a big fan of Penn Jillette because he did an amazing TV series. I mean, they were always great magicians, Penn and Teller, and really, talented, funny guys. And it was in the, I think, late 90s or early aughts that I learned that they were both libertarians. And then they came out with this great television series called Penn and Teller's BS, which we can't say what the words stand for, obviously, because we're on the radio.
Because somebody at the FCC hasn't read the Constitution.
Right. So, great show. I mean, all 8 seasons or however many there were almost all of them were fantastic. Really great, like, kind of iconoclastic television. TV that destroys old ideas, and in a good way, to help people think outside the box. So I don't want to take away from Penn's, legacy and the work that he's done. He's done an amazing job. However, this year he went crazy and has decided not only to endorse Joe Biden for president, which we talked about before the election. That would have been
because we don't have any problems that a senile child molester can't fix.
Well, now nobody. I'm willing to forgive somebody for a simple presidential pick. That doesn't mean much to me, right? Like, oh, if you think Trump's better than Biden and you're afraid of the Biden getting in, you vote for Trump. Okay, whatever. If you think Biden is better than Trump and you're afraid of Trump getting in and you vote for Biden, whatever. Okay,
yeah, it's like debating whether syphilis or herpes is better. There's a lot of room for fine distinctions there.
Right, and ultimately, voting doesn't really matter that much anyway, especially at the federal level. So to me, if he were just saying he was voting against Trump and therefore voting for Biden and didn't want to give his vote to the Libertarian candidate, then I could understand that. But that wasn't it. It didn't stop with him just endorsing Biden. He wrote an opinion piece. And somebody shared this with me on the Free Talk Live Matrix chat server. You can go to chat.lrn.fm.
Can we read it?
Yep, I got it right here. And he wrote an opinion piece, and it is appearing over at CNN.com. Now I'm just going to read this for you here, because I didn't know that he'd actually given up on libertarianism. Right? Just because you're, endorsing Trump or Biden doesn't mean you're not a libertarian. It's just, you feel strongly about the election, whatever. But here he actually says, well, it's within the first 2 sentences. He says, okay, so it's not over. There will be court fights, but Joe has won. I used to identify as a libertarian. I used to have opinions on government. I used to think I disagreed with Joe Biden on most everything, but I voted for him. I wanted the other guy fired and I wanted Joe hired, and for me the job description is now very simple. I need Joe to love all the Trump supporters. This gets weird. Here we go.
Okay, that's not who he sniffs. He likes kids and he likes other people's wives. He's not going to sniff the Trump supporters.
He goes on.
That Joe's set in his ways.
He says, I don't care if Joe raises taxes. I don't care if Joe helps add stupid, counterproductive regulations. I don't care about anything except love and kindness. So before I go on with what Penn has written in this bizarre...
It sounds like his concern, and it doesn't necessarily sound like he has entirely abandoned libertarian ideas, in that he acknowledges that taxes are harmful and that regulation is generally moronic. But it sounds like he's almost saying that he would rather have peace than justice at this point. He's just sick of the fight.
You know what I feel like I've seen is I've
seen
way too many people blind themselves in both sides of the aisle on so many different things. It's like there's so many things to attack Joe on, and at the same time it's like when you point them out, the people who are supporters, they just kind of give you a stare and pretend it didn't exist or it didn't happen, and it did happen. And I think that kind of is the same thing that's kind of happened with you, Ian, with this guy. with Joe, I'm
not
sorry,
sure what
not
you
Joe,
mean.
Teller here.
Hold up, the Penn Jillette. It's Free
yeah,
Talk
Penn
Live.
Mounds and mounds of fur. Our hairballs have hairballs.
Our cat Mama, she's 10 years old. She has dandruff and an oily coat.
I have 2 cats, Sweet Pea and Daisy. Daisy sheds like crazy.
If you love your pets as much as I do, you want to do what's best for them to live long, healthy, happy lives.
DINOVITE.com. I just tried this wonderful Catalicious Dynavite for cats, and my cat has been on it for 2 weeks. She is not scratching anymore. She's not chewing anymore. It is just the best.
I was thrilled when I heard Dynavite for cats was coming out because I'd seen the changes in my dog. To introduce my cats to Dynavite, I took the advice from Dynavite and put their food on top of just a scoop in the bowl, just to get them used to it, because I know if I even switch one little thing, they put their nose up to it. There was not one problem.
Dynavite for life.
You won't believe how happy your cat will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish, in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, hey, who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't gonna make it.
Wait
now.
Wait a minute.
Whoa. Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me? Because you're scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You dial in, toll-free number 855-450-FREE. Talking about the fall of some of these libertarians this year, man. It is really this whole coronavirus fear-mongering out there has really driven another schism, another wedge in between a lot of the people in the libertarian movement. And I tend to be somebody who embraces the schism because you really can't avoid them, but that doesn't mean that they're not sad when they do happen. And we're talking about Penn Jillette now.
It's just you find out who's really libertarian and who's not.
Well, I mean, some people are more libertarian than others,
and
but
people do change over time.
Yeah, and it's still sad when you see somebody going in a different direction, because sometimes you can be a real libertarian, Chris, and then actually change into a non-libertarian. We were talking about that tonight. Dave Ridley brought up an example of Jen Coffey, who now I've not had personal experience with this, so I'm taking Dave's word for it, and I no reason not to. But Jen Coffey was a free stater, a libertarian migrant here to New Hampshire, who was one of the earliest elected legislators. Yep. And she was the one who actually put forward the legislation that whenever you ask free staters, what are some of your successes, hers is always one of the pieces of legislation that gets mentioned. It was the one that repealed all of the knife laws in New Hampshire. Okay. So there used to be a few knives that you weren't allowed to have or whatever, and she got rid of that.
Yeah, like Mass.
Wait, Mass? I'm
Mass
pretty
has
sure bans
anti-knife.
knives.
Yeah, I think probably New York too.
So we are not
but yeah.
like Mass. We
Right.
have gotten rid of
Absolutely,
any kind of.
yep.
Right.
Mhm.
So this was what she did. One of the things she did as a legislator. Well, now apparently she's gone and turned into an authoritarian, according to Dave. He says she's got like a radio show on some station, and he calls her station and goes at it with her. So there have been people who've been pretty principled libertarians that have just decided that that's not the way they want to have their life.
I don't know, like, and this is the thing, and maybe I just haven't been around long enough, but I feel like people who are turning away from it never really totally embraced it.
See, that's where you're
they
wrong.
were liberty in some respects,
I mean,
but
some of
they
them
were
did.
not, liberty across the board. And
I
the
think
difference
you're wrong.
between a libertarian in my mind, somebody who's principled and who's liberty on every issue every time.
They were, and then they changed. That's what I'm trying to tell you, Chris. So here's another example. Chris Cantwell, another great example. Somebody who...
Yeah, he was a principled libertarian at one time, and then all of a sudden he's all,
became a
sheets
Nazi
over the head.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and he became a statist. He totally is everything he always hated at one point. At one point, the Christopher Cantwell that exists today would have been hated by old Christopher Cantwell when he was a libertarian.
Well, as Nietzsche said, always beware when you set out to fight monsters.
You
that
might
do
become
not become a monster yourself. When you look too deeply into the abyss looks also into you.
Indeed. And I think that's those words should be heeded by a lot more people. It's one of the reasons why I don't think violence is the answer to our problems, because I think that
definitely not.
if you pick up violence as a tool, you become more like the state.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's their tool.
Well, there are some jobs, though, that can only be done by violence. For example, staying alive when somebody is violently trying to kill you.
Sure. I mean,
the only way
with
to
the
answer
exception of
violence
defense.
is
Yeah,
violence.
I mean,
right, with the
that was a
exception.
given within our context, I think.
That's why I said when you use violence as a tool, and I was suggesting by that to say that you are initiating force in that particular case. So, and I can go through other examples for you, Chris. There was another guy who lived here.
Oh, I'm sure you can give lots of examples. I'm just not...
Amanda Bolden was she was a self-proclaimed anarchist.
I always had a bad feeling about her before.
Have you met her?
Oh, yeah.
You
yeah,
knew
okay.
her?
Yeah, way before she turned...
So at Pork Fest or something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
prior
she sold us some ice cream or something like that?
Yeah. I talked to her, and she always gave me a bad... I don't know how to describe it. Like a bad vibe.
Okay.
But
well, I never got that from her. I mean, she always seemed like a sweet lady who, she had it was an entrepreneur, and she did.
I supported her to the extent that what she was saying I supported, but like I always had a bad vibe with her.
Okay, but the point is, she said she was an anarchist, and her actions and the things that she didn't belie that until she became a Democrat and then started to turn against us.
Yeah, and I don't think I would say that that's incorrect. I think that's probably a fair assessment of the situation. I just don't. I think deep down, some of these people they're not really libertarian.
How about Marcel, one of the gay anarchists who moved up here to Keene, New Hampshire?
Yeah, see, I don't know about him. He was none too bright, and
he was actually well read. He had gone through a number of libertarian books, and the thing with Marcel was he was super autistic. And on top of that, he had a stuttering problem. So he was really terrible to communicate with. But when you could actually like kind of listen to him and understand him, he seemed like he really got it. He just wasn't a good communicator, right? But some guy came along. He was a gay guy, right? Gay anarchist. Yep. Gay guy came along from Massachusetts who happened to be a communist and flipped him to communism. And Amanda Bolden, who was a self-proclaimed anarchist, also met a Democrat male, and she ended up married. So she was married to a guy when she moved here. They broke up. So she was an anarchist with this other guy, and then when she met this Democrat guy, she became a full-on Democrat. Now I don't know. She still probably leans liberty on some issues. She's still putting forward some okay legislation from what I've seen. But ultimately, she attacked the libertarians. So she didn't just become a Democrat.
Yeah.
She went on the attack against libertarians. So there's so many of these examples. I could go on.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I feel like it's a very small percentage of the population that really are libertarian, and you end up attracting people who think they're libertarian, but they're not really at the end of the day.
People change.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Thank you for your input.
No
but
doubt that there's a lot of people who are libertarian now who were not always libertarian.
We're probably never going to agree on
we're not
this.
going
It's
to.
just one of those things, and I'm okay with that. You know,
I understand that you are very firm in your beliefs. Yeah. And I think that a lot of these people were also, at the time, very firm in their beliefs. But there was something that came along that changed them. Now, Dave Ridley suggested that he thought that it was cancer that did it to Jen Coffey. I don't know how true that is. Does cancer change how people think?
Statism is a cancer, I can see.
That's a good point. With others, it was clearly the relationship, right?
Yeah,
so a lot of people will change who they are for the right person. Right?
Yeah,
We've seen it happen.
I mean, and that just goes to show, I feel, that it's not, they were never really libertarian.
It just means they changed.
They were never
Does that
really
mean the people who were something else became libertarian later were never really anything else
I think
libertarian?
Did you hear the question? Or were you waiting to talk? Can you listen to the question again, please?
Does that mean that people who were not libertarian and become libertarian, were they never really the other thing, or did they never really become libertarian, or is it only libertarians that don't change?
Libertarian is like being gay. You either are or you're not, and then you realize it.
So you're saying you can only be born libertarian?
I'm saying you can have liberty opinions and change your mind about stuff. But at the end of the day, somebody who's libertarian, they're, it's something, if you're 100% on every issue, that's, I don't know.
Are you saying you can only be born libertarian?
Sort of, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can't say I
I
agree with
hope
you.
you're wrong, or we're in trouble.
Yeah, we're in big trouble in that case.
Well, that's why I don't think there's many libertarians. I think there's a lot of people who are liberty-minded, right now at least, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to stay liberty-minded.
Wow, that's depressing. 855-450 free. That's
it is very depressing.
450-3733. I don't agree with you on that at all. I think that people can absolutely change their mind about things. And while I do think that I have always been anti-authority, I like to think that I've always been that way. I can, as far back as I can remember, that has been true about me. I definitely know plenty of stories of people who have had circumstances in their life lead them to these beliefs, and they haven't left those beliefs. So, I don't know. We go on here. Back to the story here about Penn Jillette. So, and Penn Jillette was never the most principled libertarian. I mean, let's be clear. He was always just a libertarian for the sake of being something that wasn't the Democrats and the Republicans. I think he got some of the ideas pretty clearly.
Well,
but
I don't know. I think he clearly understood some of the issues. I think.
That's what I'm saying. He got some of the issues, but he wasn't a principled libertarian. If you ever listened to his show, it was called Penn's Sunday School. Very entertaining show, great show, but not principled libertarian message.
Libertarian as it suits you.
The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. But now, not only has he rejected libertarianism, because again, he says in his article, quote, "I used to identify as libertarian," unquote. He also gets really weird about Joe Biden and love. We'll talk about it coming up. It's Free Talk Live.
Joe
What
Biden.
if you could cut your heating bills this winter with your existing wood-burning fireplace and not spend thousands doing it? You can with Great Wall of Fire fireplace grates. Our U.S. patented made-in-America Wall of Fire grates increase fireplace efficiency, eliminate fireplace smoke problems, and come with a 30-day money-back guarantee. See our grates in action and get free shipping from walloffire.com or call 800-274-7364. Fireplace heat without fireplace smoke. Walloffire.com.
It's not over. Sadly, our nation is going through tough times again, with no end in sight, and nobody knows what might happen next year. That's why it's a good idea to plan ahead, so you aren't caught off guard. Nothing's more important than having enough food to eat, and we're here to help. We're My Patriot Supply, America's leading emergency preparedness company. We provide long-term emergency food that lasts up to 25 years in storage. When grocery stores run empty or disasters strike, our foods will be there when you need it most. Act now and secure at least a 4-week emergency food kit full of tasty meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. We have dozens of emergency food storage kits to choose from. When the government tells you not to go out, you can have the peace of mind that comes from being prepared. When you order from MyPatriotSupply.com, your food will arrive discreetly at your doorstep in no time. Prepare today. Time is short. MyPatriotSupply.com. That's MyPatriotSupply.com.
Hi, I'm Dan Pilla. I started fighting the IRS over 40 years ago when they tried to seize my mother's house. I sued the IRS and won. I beat the IRS then, and I've been beating them ever since. I wrote the book on tax debt settlement, and I've helped thousands of people deal with tax problems they thought might never be solved. I can help you too. If you owe taxes you can't pay, don't wait another day. There's no such thing as a hopeless tax case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX or go to my website, danpilla.com. That's danpilla.com, danpilla.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Open phones, as always, if you want to join us here. Maybe you've got a story about a libertarian who turned. Somebody who went away. They seemed like really principled and solid libertarian, and then they just went off in a totally other direction, became a right-winger or a left-winger or a total authoritarian, whatever, and you want to share that with us, you can. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. In the studio tonight, it's Ian.
Nobody.
And Chris.
You can bring up anything that you want. But I had brought up this story, and what brought the whole conversation to the forefront was what has happened with Penn Jillette this year. I had the pleasure of seeing him and Teller perform when I was in Vegas for the first time. I've never been prior to last year. And I saw them do their magic show, which I hadn't seen since I was probably 10 years old when they came to Florida when they were touring around. Now they just do it in Vegas. And it was great. It was very entertaining. It's fun to go see them. So if you get the chance before they die and you're fans, you ought to go and see them. You're laughing, but, these guys are in their early 70s, late 60s.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
So they're going to, at some point, it's going to be over. But it's over for Penn as a libertarian now. He says in an editorial or opinion piece over at CNN.com that he used to identify as a libertarian. He goes on to say, I don't care if Joe raises taxes. I don't care if Joe helps add stupid counterproductive regulations. I don't care about anything except love and kindness. Well, before I go on with this piece...
It's not love and kindness to put people in prison or kill them for nothing.
Well, exactly.
Or steal their money.
Right. To be more clear, it is not... Taxes are not love, and they're not kindness.
Nope.
Regulations are not love, and they are not kindness. These are threats against our neighbors, because if you don't pay the taxes and you don't follow the regulations, men with guns will come and they will take you away and shut down your business and destroy your life, which is what we're seeing in all of the states.
And it's a forgery of virtue. It is a forgery of virtue, and I say that because you act like you're trying to help people, but then you want somebody else to pay for it.
Yeah.
And if somebody else pays for it, you don't get any credit for that.
Yeah. And I don't have a problem with charity. You know, charity is not a bad thing necessarily.
I support
especially-
charities, actually.
Yeah, I probably am one of the most generous people I know. And there's probably at least one other, two other people around that are also very generous I know. But, you know, the point is just that that's if you had more money, you would have more people being charitable. You know, most people don't have the money because the government has stolen the money. They don't understand how much money has been stolen from them and how poor they've become. And that's why they can't afford to give anymore.
Right.
And there would be a lot fewer people who needed help.
Right. And that's the other
without
point
the
that
government making people.
You know, people have this impression, and there's like this statistic out there that says, you know, well, most poor people get back more than they, you know, pay out. But once you factor in other forms of taxation and theft,
jobs
really,
they don't
that they don't count into those numbers, you realize that they're actually they're actually putting out a lot more than is, you know, generally acknowledged by those statistics.
So that's what's so bizarre about, and this is a very strange article where he's equating Joe Biden with love, and it's like, how could you be even a minute libertarian, a fractional libertarian? How could you even be, you know, partially libertarian and not come to the conclusion that government is force, that government is violence, and that this guy, this Joe Biden, who's been a part of government for 47 years, somehow to Penn Jillette is, you know, love? Let me go on with what he says here. He says,
is he saying that he is love,
Well,
or
hold
that
on.
that's what he wants him to be?
Let me go on. He says, I've never seen Joe as a hero, but now we need a Nelson Mandela. We need Martin Luther King, and it needs to be Joe. We
What
need
is he smoking?
Well,
That's what I'm
maybe Joe can reach out to Corn Pop.
I mean, this guy must have taken some sort of drug
Thing
or
is,
something that caused a mental change. or
He's a
something.
teetotaler. He doesn't do drugs. That's one of the things Penn Jillette brags about, is that he's never touched a drug in
Maybe
his
he
life.
should have done
Call me
something.
skeptical, maybe a liar. I don't know.
No. You see, some people are into other things, right? So Penn he seems to be more obsessed over sex, from the times I've listened to him speaking of the things that he's, you know, kind of into or whatever. So he's got his vices.
Yeah.
It definitely has its merits.
Sex is a
at my
drug.
age, it's a lot easier to get drugs.
Sex is a drug of a kind.
He doesn't see it that way,
It
I'm
does
sure.
cause mental changes.
Of
But I wouldn't expect it to necessarily cause this kind of change. But
No.
Yeah.
He goes on. He says, and it needs to be Joe. We need someone who can love the people who hated him and lied about him. He must rise to the occasion. Half the country voted for Trump. These people did not buy a pig in a poke like in 2016. These were people who knew that they were voting for, or who knew what they were voting for, and voted anyway. It's appalling and horrifying.
I thought they knew what they were voting against.
Well, some people voted for Trump.
Yeah, some people did, but
he's talking about those people.
Biden's a monster.
He says it's appalling and horrifying, but these people are not monsters. These people are our neighbors and our relatives. These people are us, and we need someone who can teach us to love them again. So he needs Joe Biden to teach him how to love a Trump supporter? That's what he's saying?
It has something to do with leg hair, I think. You gotta do things with their leg hair. I don't know why.
I feel like the problem is that that's all we've got are monsters. Most people are monsters. Like
politicians are.
90% of the population.
Most people are not monsters. Most people are good people.
I don't
and they
think
treat
so.
people with respect.
I'm not convinced of that.
If they were monsters, they'd be out killing each other.
Dude, they're voting for Trump or Biden.
Most people
Both
don't
of them
even
are murderers.
vote.
Most of them are voting for murder.
Plenty of people don't even vote, dude.
I'm not talking. Well, I'm not. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean that's a fair statement. But
and people who vote aren't monsters. Many of them vote for defensive purposes. They vote for the lesser.
There are definitely monsters that vote.
I said many people are not
know,
monsters. They vote for defensive purposes. Look, dude, if you think you live in a society full of monsters, that the supermajority of people are absolutely horrible, why not just kill yourself?
Well,
why bother trying to change anything? Why bother trying to change anything?
50% of people will always be below average.
I'm not trying to change everything. I'm trying to change my little world.
But if most people in your world are absolute monsters, then how could you ever have any?
I wouldn't say that. Most people in my world are not monsters, but the people around me, especially like when I travel, I'm not. That's not everybody, but it's most people. So, and I would like to see people who I don't think are monsters, come to New Hampshire, and at least then there's, I don't have a problem with monsters being monsters around other monsters, but if you're not a monster, I want you to be in New Hampshire so that you can be around other people who are not monsters. And
so, what percentage of the population to you are monsters?
Like 98%.
Even around here?
I mean, no.
In New Hampshire?
In my little world, no.
No, I'm talking about the population.
In New Hampshire, yeah, probably. I mean, it's high.
What makes you think you're going to ever have any success?
I'm not going to. I'm not.
You think you can outnumber these people if you believe 98% of them are monsters?
I'm not necessarily convinced I can.
You can outnumber people in a large area with 2% of the population.
I'm not convinced that we can I can outnumber, or people of my mindset can outnumber. No, I don't necessarily think that's the case.
How do you
I don't necessarily think that means that you can't have some success.
We certainly outnumber them at Porkfest.
Yeah, I mean, you can have success because at the end of the day, the largest, if you have enough people and you're the largest. I don't want to say voice in the room. You have a, you're more active. You outspeak the other, people who are not so hot. Then you can have some successes.
Wow, I just, it's hard for me to even imagine viewing humanity as negatively as you do, and actually expect to have any successes whatsoever. You think
I don't expect to have? I do not expect to have a lot of success.
Okay. All right, 855-450 free. Well, I appreciate that you're putting effort in with no expectation of, virtually no expectation of success.
Things can get better without being.
I don't think things can change if you don't try. So I'm going to at least try, but that doesn't necessarily mean I have a substantial amount of hope. And this is also why it's hard to get me depressed or disappointed, because I don't have high expectations.
Okay.
Well, those who have low expectations are rarely disappointed.
Yeah.
Going on with Penn Jillette here, he says, again, he wants someone to teach us to love them again, meaning Trump supporters. He says, Joe started saying the right things already, but he has to go all the way. Please, Joe, make me embarrassed to say anything bad about Trump supporters. Please fill all our hearts with love for each other. Please. This is Joe's chance to have the situation make him better than he has any right to be. Please teach us to love and understand and move on together. You have one job, Joe. Love all of us.
Well, he's obviously got something to say. I don't know exactly what he's trying to say. It sounds
if you want to be
like,
loved by the President of the United States, you are completely delusional.
Or possibly Marilyn Monroe.
Toll-free number tonight, 855-450 free. You can join us here. You can bring up whatever you want. Whether you want to talk about people and how libertarian they might be or how monstrous they might be. I am in complete disagreement with Chris on this one. 855-450 free. I think people are by and large good folks. They're just wrong about government, and that can change, just like they were wrong about slavery in the past, and that changed. We can have that renaissance. It is possible.
Oh, yeah.
855-450 free like freedom. Hour number 2 is on the way. You can take control of the airwaves. This is Free Talk Live.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now's your chance to be part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for everyone to use it in everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that's as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more, and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Appeal denied. I'm Jack Callahan, Fox News. A federal appeals court deals another setback to the efforts by the Trump campaign to challenge the election.
The Third U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals is the latest in a string of courts to find that the Trump campaign did not give evidence of election fraud, going as far as saying, quote, the campaign's claims have no merit. The judge who wrote the opinion for the 3-judge panel is a Trump appointee and said, quote, calling an election unfair does not make it so, saying that charges require specific allegations and proof. And, quote, we have neither here.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers, campaign attorney Jenna Ellis posting they will appeal to the Supreme Court. And the administration is appealing a federal judge's ruling that required the U.S. Postal Service to suspend changes prior to the election. The Los Angeles County Health Department has just issued coronavirus stay-at-home orders for L.A. residents. Most gatherings, public and private, banned starting Monday. Religious services and protests exempted. Flaunting the virus and in some places fighting crowds, shoppers heading to the stores for Black Friday deals today.
It's a tradition. We've done it every year for as long as I can remember.
That woman shopping on Long Island. Tomorrow is Small Business Saturday. Safety power shutdowns in Southern California because of an increased risk of wildfire.
Strong Santa Ana winds are blowing through parts of Southern California today, some gusting up to 75 miles per hour. The dry brush and hurricane force winds in some areas are creating dangerous fire conditions. Red flag and high wind warnings are in effect in this region, and strike teams and extra fire engines are on standby. Utility company Southern California Edison shut off electricity to nearly 16,200 customers to avoid power lines sparking wildfires.
Fox's Christina Coleman. America is listening to Fox News.
This holiday season, more people will be mailing stuff than ever before. Stamps.com brings the post office and now UPS shipping right to your computer so you can mail and ship anything from the convenience of your home or office. With Stamps.com, you can print postage on demand and save money with deep discounts you can't even get at the post office. Like 5 cents off every stamp, up to 40% off priority mail, and up to 62% off UPS shipping rates. Print official stamps and labels right from your computer for any letter, package, or class of mail, anywhere you want to send. Once your mail's ready, schedule a pickup or drop it off. It's a no-brainer. Don't spend a minute of this holiday season at the post office. Right now, listeners get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale with no long-term commitment. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in Fox. Stamps.com. Enter Fox. Go right now to Stamps.com. Enter Fox.
Iran's top nuclear scientist is dead, killed, Tehran says, by a terrorist element.
This is a major blow to the Iranian nuclear program. Mohsen Fakhrizadeh is not only the head of that program, he is the man known as the father of the Iranian bomb, and he's reportedly been on a Mossad hit list for many, many years. This is someone that Secretary Pompeo and Netanyahu have mentioned by name, and he was ambushed in a wealthy suburb outside Tehran. The attackers reportedly blew up a truck as he passed by with his bodyguards. Then 5 of them got out and opened fire on his car. It is a remarkably audacious, sophisticated operation in the heart of Iran. The Iranian foreign minister is already blaming Israel, and an advisor to Supreme Leader Khamenei has said the U.S. is seeking war, adding that Iran would, quote, descend like lightning on the killers of this oppressed martyr.
Fox's Benjamin Hall, the USS Nimitz carrier strike group being repositioned as a message to Iran and other potential adversaries not to test the U.S. during a...
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Hewlett-Packard is known for their basic, no-frills computers, but that doesn't mean they can't keep up with the latest technology. In a press release yesterday, HP said, quote, "We are excited to begin offering that cloud thing that everyone is talking about. We definitely have the cloud on our computers, and it is better than anyone else's cloud." Earlier today, I sat down with HP spokesman Gary Klinman, who said the company couldn't wait to show people, quote, how they do their cloud stuff.
We are absolutely thrilled that now people with computers or phones, both will now be able to back things up to the cloud.
Klinman says it isn't surprising they're, quote, up on the cloud, considering they're on the cutting edge of all the latest tech trends. Are there any additional features?
Crowdsourcing is something we are having. Crowdsourcing 2.0. We have social sharing. We have 5G, 6G, really all the Gs. We have app. We have all of it in the computer.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. We're kicking off the second hour of the program. You are invited to join us on the radio, where you can take control of the airwaves here. And with you in the studio tonight, you've got Ian.
Nobody.
And Chris.
You can bring up anything you want. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Coming up, some piracy news. Chris is going to share that with us. But we're going to go to your phone calls and thoughts first. Plus, it is Black Friday, and normally on Black Friday, we talk about Black Friday because there's usually like fights in the stores and all kinds of, crazy stuff going on. Was this Black Friday as eventful as previous ones? We can get into that coming up here. And if you want to share your experience, maybe
people having virtual fights.
Maybe. Well, if you went out and shopped today and you want to observe what it was like and share that with us, feel free to call in or bring up anything you want. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Let's go to the phones to your calls and thoughts. We have Andrew in Tennessee listening to WGOW there in Chattanooga. Go ahead, Andrew.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Hey, what's on your mind?
Well, yeah, a while back, you guys were talking about how people tend to go either be libertarian to go left or right further. And it reminded me of an article that I read. It was dated 2013 about the prevalence of infectious diseases in authoritarian countries. Or if I'm not wrong. Anyways, so I'm curious as to your guys' thoughts. Like, do you think that that's probably one of the reasons why people are going more left and more right because of this COVID thing and the whole what they call parasite theory kind of driving people's emotions to the point where they want more structure, limitations, and unfortunately authoritarian-like structures? I'll leave it at that.
Hold on. Oh, don't leave. I don't know if I understand the question. Can you kind of rephrase it?
Yeah, I was curious if you guys have heard about it, or what are your thoughts on? Do you believe that this COVID-19 has been one of the main factors to drive people further into their political domains, whether it be left or right, because of the structures that this parasite or this infectious diseases has caused by the government laying out certain rules or whatever? I mean, this article talked about how these countries that have our high prevalence of infectious diseases tend to become more authoritarian or totalitarian because of that. And the people will fall into that line because hey, this invisible thing is going to kill us. We got to do what the government says. And so they tend to be leaning more that direction where they were not beforehand. So I was think maybe you guys.
I think that people are definitely more embracing of authoritarianism now than ever. But it's been a lot of work. I mean, the government gang has laid a lot of groundwork over generations for this. I mean, this isn't just something that hit all of a sudden. The government has been running the schools for, I don't know how many generations now, and they've been indoctrinating people that you have to do what you're told, you have to follow authority, you have to trust the police, and you got to participate in the system, and we are the government. And there's just all this sort of brainwashing that's been going on over time to produce these sort of docile people. The government school system in the United States is called the Prussian model of education, and it is based on the idea of turning out sort of these worker drones that don't really question reality.
By Prussian the life out of them while they're in school.
Right. And getting them used to, when the bell rings, you're off your shift, and, when the lights turn off, you have to be quiet. And there's all kinds of things that are just hammered into people's heads, that you have to get a job and stay with that job and have a career and get married and have kids and have a retirement and you have to go to college, and there's all these things that they tell people they've got to do.
What's funny is I don't know if this was in high school or college, it might have been college, but I think I actually had a class and we talked about this very thing, about how the system has been designed effectively to create factory workers. Like, that was the purpose.
They admitted that in a government
it's
class?
like a sociology kind of class, and that was kind of, we talked about the different schooling, methods of schooling, and how the system hasn't kept up with effectively, or the way kids are schooled hasn't kept up with what is needed by the marketplace, I guess is the way to phrase it.
Were they ever interested in what was needed by the marketplace, or were they interested in increasing their own power?
The market effectively needed drones during, what do you want to call it, the Industrial Revolution, because
drones were never more economically productive than smart people.
Well, people who are easy to be controlled, who are obedient and do what they're told.
They might have made more money for somebody else.
That's the point. The somebody else's don't go to government school. The kids of the somebody else's, the kids of the corporate owners, the doctors, the lawyers, they go to the rich kids' schools. They go to the private schools or homeschooled or whatever.
There's something to be said about the efficiencies and effectiveness of an economy that is reliant on manual labor, and you need a lot of manual labor in order to make it efficient. So it may have
We're not just talking about manual labor. When we say worker drones, that may have been, that may have called up visions of manual labor in the 1800s when the Prussian system sort of came about and was implemented. But a worker drone just means somebody who plugs into the system, doesn't question the circumstances of their life, doesn't question any of things that they've been told by the government. They're completely within the structure that they have been set into, and they never break out from it. So with all of those strictures being laid into place, and with with sort of the education system encouraging people to don't take a risk, right? Oh, you don't want to start your own business. That's risky. You just want to go work a job, right? Work for somebody else, make that other person wealthy. Do what, pick one side or the other, Republican or Democrat. Don't ever venture outside of any of the things that we tell you, right? And then they tell them, oh, well, now we're going to tell you to stay at home because it's for your own good, and you trust us because we raised you, we educated you, you believe in us, you believe in authority.
I think the virus is basically just yet another excuse that politicians are using to justify crackdowns.
Absolutely.
And it's
always
not
something.
It's,
the war
they
on
just
drugs,
have
war on
to,
terror.
Right. They have to switch from one thing to another in order to keep us obedient, basically.
This is even better than a war on terror, because the difference between
it's a war in terror.
So when the war on terror came about,
I don't know if this has been as effective in some ways as the war on terror.
They didn't force everybody to stay home during the war on terror.
They didn't, but they
air travel didn't stop.
I certainly don't feel afraid of talking about this issue.
He just dropped. Thanks for the call.
Relative to, after 9/11, I would be deathly afraid to talk about 9/11 on 9/11 because.
Oh, really? We talked about it.
Oh, maybe you did, but you're also around people who are not going to kill you. So
you were in New Jersey.
And
I was angering
I
people.
I would not be as afraid to talk about this issue amongst people who disagree with me than I would be to talk about 9/11 on 9/11.
Yeah, I remember my parents got really upset at me on 9/11 because I basically said, well, if you go around making random wars with random countries,
that's what I would
sooner
do.
or later somebody's
Yes.
going to hit you in the face and you got it coming.
That's exactly what I'd be afraid to say on 9/11.
Yeah.
To other people, to normal people, definitely would not say that.
But the
I
effects have
definitely
been-
would not be afraid to say, to normal people that, COVID is... I wouldn't say it's fake, but COVID is being used as an excuse at least.
But the effects of the fear have been much greater this
I would
year.
agree. They've been much more successful.
In
at
2001,
controlling us.
2002, you didn't see a huge drop in the economy. You didn't see businesses shutting down left and right.
That's not what they were doing then.
I understand that.
I don't think that's necessarily more fear. Like most of the people that I've talked to about this, or a lot of the people that I've talked to about this, I mean, it's almost like they don't see the importance of it. They're like, yeah, it all seems to be kind of weird and
what do you mean they say they don't see the importance of
matter.
it? What do you mean when you say they don't see the importance of it? What is it? What are you referring to?
Well, the importance of what they're doing.
The government crackdown?
Yeah. That's really what
They're
I
just
see.
shrugging it off? They're just like, I've lost my job and it's no big deal?
Well, of course, I'm talking to the people who have jobs, because the people who don't have jobs aren't, working somewhere where I'm going to find them and talk to them. Mostly I end up talking to cashiers and such. But, most of them do seem like, they're vaguely aware that they're not getting the truth. They just don't really
care.
Seem to care.
It's and the question is, so what is the objective, right? Like what's the objective of creating all this fear and exploiting it, right? Who's winning, who's profiting from this?
I mean,
and it seems like there is a consolidation,
right?
A consolidation into larger corporations that are owned by probably people at the top. Yeah. Probably is the objective.
The billionaires
if we
have
don't,
doubled in wealth.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not saying that is what's happening, but it seems like it might be what's going on.
There are some very specific industries who are benefiting here.
Absolutely.
Quest Diagnostics.
And at the
people
cost
doing
of a lot of smaller
testing.
businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. 855-450, free like freedom.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org. News from news.bitcoin.com. Early Bitcoin wallets cashing in. Is Satoshi back? Investment expert Dr. Doom calls Bitcoin a store of value. Bitcoin Cash forks. Everything's fine. Bitcoin price surges above $18,000 US. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com. Free Bitcoin Cash when you download their wallet at bitcoin.com.
Doodle, Stuart, Harold, and Pork Chop. Pork Chop, his beautiful blonde coat is very thick. He's an Akita, German Shepherd, Lab, Husky mix. They did a DNA test on the 4 rescues. The first year is just a complete retraining. Lots of love, discipline, and daily upkeep. I'm a registered nurse and a personal trainer. If I eat healthy, then my dog should eat healthy. DINO
DynaVite.com.
They need the vitamins and minerals that Dynavite provides.
Dynavite is nutrition.
Harold, the Border Collie Pit Mix, has the most beautiful jet black coat. Stuart, my rat terrier, has fur now where he never had it before. Doodle, he's a poodle cocker spaniel. His energy is tremendous. The Dynavite will make your dog happy, vivacious, jump up and down, wag their tails. It will make you smile.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
I get my Dynavite at DINOVITE.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Is oral health important to you? If you don't like your own teeth, fresh breath, or kissing people, then by all means, stop listening. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I became passionate about the product that she created and never want to live without it. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, but I find it does much more. They want you to love My Magic Mud as much as I do, so they're giving you a money-back guarantee plus 20% off. Go to mymagicmud.com and use coupon code FTL20 at checkout. mymagicmud.com, FTL20.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Dial in, bring up what you want. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. What was Black Friday like today? Usually there's a ton of stories about people fighting over cheap merchandise in store aisles, but not so much this year, at least not that I've seen. What have you seen? And actually, did you go out in real life to see it? Because what the news reports on isn't always what's really happening. So it's Ian, Nobody, and Chris in the studio here tonight. And I want to let you know that Bitcoin.com has a great getting started area over there. Now, by the way, the price of Bitcoin has taken a bit of a tumble in the last 2 days or so. Currently, it's just over $17,000 per Bitcoin after scraping an all-time high earlier this week. It is now down just a little bit. Go to Bitcoin.com, click on Get Started at the top of the page, and that's where you can learn a lot more about cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. If you haven't taken the time to get the basics about crypto, this is a place to go and do it. Bitcoin.com. Crypto is not going to go away anytime soon, probably not in our lifetimes and lifetimes beyond that. You can go and learn more, though. Bitcoin.com. If you don't need to learn the basics, they got detailed information over at news.bitcoin.com about what's happening in the world of cryptocurrency. If you've been wanting to learn how to split the new Bitcoin ABC, Bitcoin Cash ABC from Bitcoin Cash, this recent schism that happened, I think Bitcoin.com, the news section, just published a how-to story about that. So,
nice.
Yeah.
I actually need to do that.
Nope, it's there.
I thought the split, like they were mining empty blocks, and then it like died or something.
No, it's not. It has not died.
It's not died.
There was a hostile miner that was mining empty blocks for a few days to kind of clog the network. So it's a bit of a mess, but it did make it. It's still technically alive. So if you want to get yours, you can do that.
Like many cryptos, reports of its death have been greatly exaggerated.
Yeah, so we continue here. Let's talk to Bad Slave. He's in New Hampshire, watching us on our Twitch feed over at twitch.lrn.fm. Go ahead, Bad Slave.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to talk to Chris because, I'm a little older than him. I about to turn 69, and I've maintained a position for most of my life that everything I can remember, at least, that says that that people are for the most part good.
Mm-hmm.
And here you have Chris telling us that 98% of people are bad. And so my question for Chris is, do you approach every person that you encounter, strangers? Do you approach them as if they're bad?
No, of course not. I'll do the exact opposite, actually.
Seriously?
Yeah, I'll do the opposite because it's you shouldn't assume the worst in everybody. You should probably assume the best and then expect the worst.
What? I think there must be a mistake there because in my interaction, and I'm a gregarious person. I love people, and I'm out there talking to folk all the time. And occasionally you get a bad apple that you just get a bad reaction to, and I may even generate some of that just because I'm unusual. But
little bit.
My experience is that having bad expectations is what actually produces bad results.
No, if you expect the worst, then anything that isn't bad is going to be a good thing, and it'll come kind of as a surprise, and it'll boost your spirit a bit.
Well, I don't. I mean, maybe your spirit.
I think that you're.
I would rather be surprised that somebody is doing something good and have expected something bad, but not assume that
I
they
expect
were
people
bad.
to be good in general, and that's what I see. I mean, I see people being good in general.
Well, the
I mean, you
problem is
use the term monsters to describe people. Hold on. You use the term monster to describe 98% of people,
Yeah.
and then you turn around and you say that you expect.
Dude, most people are voting. Okay, of the people voting
just because
anyway,
somebody
are voting
votes
for Trump
doesn't make them a monster.
Or Biden. I mean, how can you?
That's how you judge whether someone's a monster. I consider a monster to be somebody who
It's not how they're voting. It's
a monster is a
exactly,
person who kidnaps and rapes and murders. I mean,
they're voting for war. They're voting for murder. They're literally voting for murderers. Yeah, they are. I'm sorry, I disagree. I think people are voting for basically the lesser of two monsters, and they themselves are supporting these people.
Yeah, how about another take at it, Chris? The fact is that that most people they're generating ignorance these days. And they've been doing that for some decades. I've battled against it myself, and I do a lot. Our job as promoting liberty is basically being an informant on reality. And here you are. Just imagining, all these bad people. I think there's a lot of, apparently bad people because, people. There is a lot of people like you, Chris, that start out, thinking every 98% people are monsters. That's just crazy. That's
See, I don't know. The way I look at it is like voting. Okay, you put people in a situation where there are no good choices, Basically, you can vote for evil, or you can vote for evil, or you can vote and know you're going to lose.
Yeah, but people aren't
there are no good choices there.
Right.
Anybody placed in a situation where there are no good choices will make a bad choice.
So the problem is that people aren't just voting for Trump or voting for Joe Biden. They're supporting him as well. Like, if it was people just voting for the lesser of two evils, I'd be like, okay, I wouldn't necessarily say you're a monster. But if you're voting for somebody and you actually support that person who is a monster, how does that not make you a monster?
Well,
it's just a vote, man.
If you're supporting
it's
them,
not just a
if
vote.
you're
I mean, you're
supporting
literally
them against
supporting
something
murderers.
worse,
You're literally enacting.
Murderers versus murderers. So where's your choice? Where's your non-murderer choice? Where's your non-psychopath choice?
Well, there probably
is none.
I don't know. I don't
There
know about
is
that.
no
I mean,
good
I voted
choice.
for you. I voted for you, nobody.
I voted for me too. But the thing is, I voted for me knowing I was going to lose.
Yeah, and so did I.
So those are your two choices.
What's your point? Yeah, I think there is a choice.
Vote for evil, or lose.
But again,
I can understand why
voting...
people choose the lesser of two
No,
evils.
I didn't say I don't understand that. I said I do understand why people are choosing the lesser of two monsters. But that doesn't and I'm not saying those people are monsters. What I'm saying is that most people
you
are
You're saying 98% of people are monsters.
Most people are voting for and supporting, I think, these people who are monsters.
That doesn't mean that they're monsters, dude. Anyway, Bad Slave, thanks for trying with him. I appreciate it. It's not gonna work. Toll-free numbers, 855-450-FREE.
That's a strong word to use.
That's 855
I'll give you that.
450-3733. Yeah, I mean, most people would consider monsters to be like Jeffrey Dahmer.
Monsters kind of have to be outliers because that's what the word means.
Right. I think most people are ignorant of what they're voting for, and they think things about government that we don't believe.
That's true.
There's more coming up here. It's Free Talk Live.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by DJ Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Bain Books at BainBooks.com.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with AnyPay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you receive the rewards. Download the AnyPay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at AnyPayInc.com. AnyPayInc.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You can dial toll free and join us on the radio waves. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Join the Matrix chat server where you can join our troll army. Actually, they're not. They're not our troll army. They would probably never do anything we ask them to.
Oh my God, no! They'll do the opposite of what we ask.
Right. Maybe we should use reverse
That's what
psychology.
trolls do.
We're gonna have to. Yeah, that's exactly what we're gonna do. We're gonna have to start talking about how we need to go to war, and then maybe they'll start promoting peace.
Well, so I said to the guy, "It's not the bridge I want. It's the troll."
You can get over there at chat.lrn.fm. Chat server's there 24 hours a day. It is a Matrix chat server, which means it's self-hosted, which means that self-hosted means we host it, not Facebook or whatever other massive networks, Twitter and all that nonsense. We are out of that. We do technically have a Twitter for as long as they want to, keep the site there. But we also have decentralized social media such as Mastodon, which is way better, over at toot.freetalklive.com. So check that out and jump on our chat server. Go to chat.lrn.fm. Both Mastodon and the Matrix chat are what they call federated, which means that you can connect to those servers from other servers as well. So it's pretty cool stuff. Head over there to chat.lrn.fm. Okay, so toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE like freedom. We've got other news here. Chris, I know you had a piracy-related story that we can get into. Also, we can talk about Black Friday. The media is saying that crowds are thin at malls and stores. However...
Well, that's an improvement because they've been getting corpulent.
Yeah, right. That's a great point. Malls have been dying over the last couple of decades. So we can talk more about Black Friday as well. If you want to weigh in, you can join us here at 855-450-FREE. Chris, do you have the piracy-related story that you wanted to share tonight?
So yeah, there's a interesting story from Torrent Freak, and it's this feels very much like kind of what we've been talking about, in relation to COVID and just the demands that are being asked of, that are being asked of, businesses shutting down and, a lot of heavy-handed, actions basically. Mm-hmm. So the title of the story is Anti-Piracy Coalition Seeks Powerful New Tools to Tackle IPTV Piracy in the EU. So for those who don't know what IPTV is, it's basically just saying internet television. So
is that different from YouTube?
Yeah, so it's like basically traditional cable television,
just delivered
or broadcast
over IP?
television, but delivered over the internet. Okay. So you're getting channels. You're subscribing to channels from. Usually, when they use the word IPTV, it's they're unauthorized
streams.
So there are companies that are setting up. Basically, a cable, but an internet-based cable television service, where you can basically get ABC and NBC.
So you're talking about what
Disney
they would
and whatever.
You're talking about what they would describe as linear content.
Yep.
Meaning when kids back in the day, you turn on the TV, and if you didn't tune in at 8 o'clock on the dot, you miss the start of the show.
Exactly.
Right? You're talking about that kind of thing where it's just the programming goes on 24 hours a day. You're not choosing what shows to watch. You're only choosing the channel, and then you see whatever the channel shows.
Absolutely.
So you're saying there's live streamed video content called IPTV, and it's big in Europe?
It's big around the world.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely big in Europe, and there's also like, I don't know if people have recall like the late 90s, they started introducing like pay-per-view and things of that nature. So there's probably sort of similar sorts of things, probably, but without actually having to pay for it too. But it's more like a traditional cable television system.
Let's get into the story.
So, the Audiovisual Anti-Piracy Alliance, which counts major TV broadcast sports rights holders and content security
this
companies.
is about sports. Because I know, I'm not going to say who, but one of our co-hosts has, he's like a sports guy. You know, it's what he likes. He likes to do.
He has one of these devices, huh?
I don't know if he has a device specifically, but he knows of like websites where he can go and watch NFL games that you're not supposed to see. Unless you have.
I don't get the sports ball thing.
Everybody's got their hobbies.
I don't either. But...
I mean, it's not for me, but you know, everybody's got a hobby, right? Some people it's reading books, some people it's playing video games, some people they want to watch other people play games. And in fact, there's a lot of people these days that watch other people play video games. That's now
I
a
don't
get
that either. But hey, you know,
it's a huge thing.
It is. I know it is, and it's to each his own. Is kind of my perspective on things. I don't have any grudges or anger issues against people who have different ideas of fun than I do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what this is focusing on, right? Like illegal streams, because there's IPTV that's legal, right? Like if you're ordering it from Comcast or something.
Theoretically, Comcast would be providing probably IPTV streams as well. They just won't use the word IPTV probably.
They have some marketing,
but it's the same
for it.
technology kind of or similar technology behind the scenes. doing this.
This is the equivalent of sort of voice over IP for classic telephone lines.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. So it's basically just cable television over the internet.
Got it.
But it's being set up by unauthorized entities, so they're not paying royalties and licenses. Good. Yeah, that's kind of my view on it too. So they're basically trying to introduce all these measures in Europe, and it's actually really disturbing because they've already got, I believe anyway, I'm almost 95% sure that they passed what was a takedown, stay down, or something similar. Basically what that is when you go to upload content to like YouTube or similar, it will look for what you're uploading and it will keep it. And we already have this even before that law is implemented, but it will stop you from uploading stuff that is basically, the big companies like Disney are say that's our content, right?
Right. So it can recognize the video content basically and say, that matches Pinocchio. You're not allowed to upload that.
Yeah. The problem with these systems is that they don't really work that well. So when you try to upload content that's completely unique and your own, it also gets censored in the process. Yeah. And so most YouTubers have a real difficult time uploading content, and they have to go and edit stuff, edit that content in order to get it to go around the filters, even though it was, all unique content effectively.
And this is not, I think, something that creators really want.
Oh, no, it's definitely not.
I have never written a piece of code and thought and been upset that somebody used it because they didn't.
Some creators are upset about that.
There are some, but
think about Metallica back in the day.
Yeah.
Remember with Napster?
I mean, there are people like that. But to me, it's just like if I create something, I want people to see it. I want people to use it.
Right. But the problem is most of the people who are creators are trying to get their content out there, and it's really the cartels, the big companies like Disney, the 7 big Hollywood studios, right, that own most of the copyrights when it comes to films and music, and those are the guys, the people at the very top
who's
making
behind
all the
what
money.
You're talking about.
They're the ones who want this. And so it's
that's another one. People always blame that on the Jews, and it's like, Walt Disney was a horrible anti-Semite.
So they've been successful in some of this regards. So these include real-time stream takedown tools. So that's really disturbing. So basically they're basically handing real-time stream takedown tools are effectively saying we can block content, not just that's been posted to the internet, but we're handing Disney the control and companies like that the control to censor any content that's being streamed or any website or any IP address. And not only is that censoring the content for them, but they're censoring the content for everybody else that might be using that server too, potentially.
So how would this work? Would it be that
so the UK this is the other disturbing part. So the UK, they've already done this, right? And it's not EU wide, but it's certainly being done in the UK. And one of the ways they're doing this, and some of this is leaked out, but they're basically monitoring every single connection that you make to any website. In the process, they have to monitor every single connection you make to any website in order to implement these sorts of live
censoring.
Don't they have SSL out there?
Hold that thought. We'll continue here in just a moment. 855 450 free. They're saying they want these tools, not that they already
got them in some places.
All right, more on the
but
way.
They want to spread them.
When you have a pain in the neck, a real pain in the neck, back, shoulder, or legs, you now have 2 convenient choices to get fast relief without taking another pill. Because now, Sunny Bay heating wraps and pillows are available at both Amazon and Walmart. Yes, see Sunny Bay's 4.5 to 5-star customer reviews on Amazon.com or Walmart.com. Our made in the USA microwavable heat wraps, heatable neck pillows, and extra large body wraps are designed better for perfect support where and when you need it. Even while driving, Sunny Bay wraps will not burn and stay balanced to provide soothing hot or cold therapy to help treat temporary or chronic pain. And the best part? Sunny Bay quality products start at under $20. Join thousands of happy customers and see why Sunny Bay products have a lifetime 100% positive rating on both Amazon and Etsy. It's easy. Click Amazon or Walmart and search today for Sunny Bay.
Trading involves financial risk and is not suitable for all investors. Past results do not guarantee future performance.
Stock market have you nervous with all the massive fluctuations? With the hope for a COVID vaccine on the rise, shifting political landscape, and the election at an end, it's virtually impossible to guess what will happen next. With Vantage Point, you don't have to. Text MONEY to 411-411 to find out how our technology can forecast market trends up to 3 days in advance with incredible accuracy. Text MONEY to 411-411 to get what you need to stay ahead of market trends and find explosive moves before they happen. Vantage Point's patented technology analyzes huge quantities of global data in seconds. Stop guessing. Start predicting trends 72 hours in advance. Text MONEY to 411-411 and experience Vantage Point for free. Text MONEY to 411-411 so you can protect and grow your capital now. Don't wait. Text MONEY to 411-411.
Go to VantagePointSoftware.com for terms, conditions, and privacy policy.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Bring up anything you want here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. We're talking about IP television and piracy. New tools are being demanded by these various different so-called intellectual property rights holders, the music groups, the TV, the Hollywood types. And Chris is going to continue with that story from Torrent Freak here in just a moment. Also, want to say thanks to Chris, who's a Free Talk Live Platinum Amplifier. Chris is a supporter to a large number. Platinum users are $25 a month that they're sending into the AMP program.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. We only ask. It's not you. Well, you support us in different ways, Chris.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. But Chris,
It feels like you're talking to me, and I'm like, it's kind of funny.
One of the Chris's in the world. This one who is the Platinum Amplifier. We appreciate it. If you want to join the AMP program, it's $5 a month. That's all we ask for. Chris is doing at least 5 times that amount, so thanks, man. I really appreciate that. But if you just do the $5, you get all kinds of cool perks and benefits. So please go to amp.freetalklive.com.
And bennies, too.
Yep, it makes a big difference when you do that because it helps us get Free Talk Live on more radio stations around the country and bring new internet listeners on board, exposing new people to the ideas of freedom, including the ideas of ending intellectual property laws, which is ultimately like what I think we would all want to see, right? I mean, can I speak for everybody on that one?
Yeah.
We all agree with ending intellectual property laws?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Information wants to be free.
Indeed. And the evidence of that is the fact that if somebody puts a football game online, then, if there is a football game available, somebody is going to put it online. More than one person probably are going to stream it. And these companies really don't like that, and they're trying to use whatever they're saying here. They want new tools, new
monitoring
technical
and censorship tools. Yeah,
and I want to get into exactly. I don't want to go too far into the weeds, but I want to kind of get an idea for how this might work. So hold that thought. But let's go first to your calls and thoughts here, where we have Breaking the Flaw on the line here, and I don't know if I
breaking the flaw.
The AMP, by the way, if you want to join AMP, go to amp.freetalklive.com. Breaking the Flaw. Joa is here. He is one of our newest movers up here to New Hampshire, and he's been super active doing a lot of First Amendment audits, constantly live streaming from various different events. You were out with us last weekend at the governor's house. You did a 2-hour-long live stream. So, Vincent, who's one of our former co-hosts, he did a nice little 8-minute summary video. But if you want to see the entire event, you can actually watch it from your perspective, Breaking the Flaw, over on your channel on YouTube.
I've seen some of your content. You've done some amazing work, I think.
Yeah, I try.
So what's going on
really
tonight?
Depending on how they react to me.
Yeah. So what's happening?
So today I went up to Lincoln, New Hampshire, and I went to go talk with the restaurant owner that got fined twice because he had 2 people playing guitars and performing, and they weren't wearing masks.
My God,
the world is ending.
I know. God forbid you get to see people's facial expressions nowadays, right? Especially those performing, right? The ones that you're trying to get entertained by.
It's like the Baptists back in the day trying to, oh my God, they're dancing.
Oh, right. That's pretty funny.
That's also not allowed, by the way. Dancing is prohibited in licensed liquor establishments by the Liquor Commission.
Or the Jefferson Memorial in D.C.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they took Kokesh out. Yeah.
But yeah, I went to the restaurant and I just wanted to ask them a few questions on how it went down, and I guess they were a couple. So not only were they, they might have been within 6 feet, but they're going home together later that night.
That's even more crazy.
Lucky they haven't outlawed that yet.
Oh God, they're outlawing, being a human at this point. It's absolutely disgusting. But earlier in the night, before I actually got to go and interview the owner, I was in Lincoln and I was doing my little exploration. Did an audit on the police station.
Nice.
A cop blocked traffic and got within 2 feet of my face without a mask.
Wow.
So you want to talk about the state trying to mandate what these mask rules and everything? Well, what about your own employees?
Yeah, do as we say, not as we do.
This is a common intimidation tactic that I've seen in New Hampshire personally, firsthand, with cops coming up to you and getting in your face, and then saying you got up to them and got in their face.
Get
somehow.
that camera out of my face!
Right? It's like you came to me.
You got your camera in my face. Yeah. You got your face in my camera.
Now,
two great tastes that taste great together.
Breaking the flaw, I do have the story here from WHDH Boston TV saying that the White Mountain Tavern in Lincoln is being targeted with a $1,000 fine for allegedly hosting a musical performance last weekend where two guitarists performed too close together and customers sat shoulder to shoulder at the bar. Now,
oh my God, almost like they liked each other.
Interestingly, it says here that the owner plans to appeal the fine. So,
good.
That's awesome.
Were you able to learn more about this situation?
Well, I do know that the owner is a liberty lover, right? He's part of the Free State Project, and he's been to Pork Fest.
Cool.
And if you want to see my little interview, I did a couple-minute interview with him. I didn't want to waste too much of his time. But, they're just a couple. And actually, one of the patrons there is the one that complained to the AG. They called the Attorney General over this. This is not
awful.
a society that
we were just complaining to the AG the other day.
He wasn't listening, though.
How dare you?
And by that, you mean we were outside of his house.
Yeah, literally outside his house.
We weren't snitching.
Now, we didn't actually go onto his property, but she sure probably the wife wasn't happy, and she certainly was like, "Get off my property. We're not on your property."
Mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
Yeah, interestingly, they say during the video that the Attorney General actually owned the property on the other side of the road, as well as like a couple of adjacent properties as well. So they have a large section of land, but it's ironic that they might have thought that was going to protect them, but ultimately, because the state has a road that goes through the property, there is public property that goes through their property. So ultimately, it was the state that allowed us to have this protest. What it was effectively was right in the middle of their land.
Yeah, it's also interesting that I don't think we've really talked about this, but there's a couple things. There's the easement on the side of the roads, which technically enabled us to park on the side of the road right next to their house.
Even though they tried to claim that we couldn't, then we pushed back and we're like, yeah, we know about easements, so what are you gonna do?
There's also something called in use and
current use.
I don't know. We don't know 100% of the details on it, but it's generally this idea that you, if you put your property effectively into current use, or you get it into current use, other people are allowed to basically walk on that land, hike on that land, and so on.
And the reason why property owners do this is because they get a huge property tax discount on current use.
Right. Yeah. So what I thought, though, was interesting is that if it is the case that they can't tell you to get off their property in that case,
then they're in a current jam.
They're currently violating the rules under which they're in use, assuming she's if she's on the deed, I guess, to that property, then she may have actually jeopardized the in-use status if you can't post signs and so on. So it would be interesting. Now, I don't know how you would get that tax status changed.
Call the Attorney General.
But yeah, especially when it's the Attorney General, it probably has to do something about it.
It would be hilarious to snitch him out to himself, though.
I'm pretty sure that's
and you can do that without technically snitching.
I'm pretty sure that's the town, nobody. It's the town that...
it's kind of funny, though, over in Lincoln, when I went to Lincoln PD, is that the cop confronted me because I was, like, snooping around, he said, like, on the property. I was
Isn't that what they do?
There's no signs. There's no signage that says I couldn't be there.
Right.
And I told him, he was like, hey, what if someone came up on your private property? I was, would you have a problem with it? I was like, yes, because I have it clearly marked, no trespassing. So he needs to make it clearly marked that I can't be there.
Yeah.
That's what his law says.
Well, it's not private property, buddy. It's the state's police agency. So you can
Bad analogy, right?
Yeah, you can poke around there all you want to, And as you pointed out, if there's no actual prohibition on you being in a place, then there's no reason you can't be there.
Yeah.
And several police stations I've done in the past actually have put up signs afterwards.
I believe it.
The Woonsocket police put up huge fences and signs everywhere because of it.
That's what they did for us at the jail back when
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, when Nobody and I got arrested along with 10 other people out of the jail, the Trespassive 12, as we were called at the time. They had just built the jail, and we used to walk around the old jail all the time. We had no issue going there and literally just walking around the jail, waving signs and protesting there. So that's what we did at the new jail. They called cops out and arrested all of us the first time we did this, and then they put up signs saying you can't walk past this point around the
I think I saw Ridley get in trouble once for walking on the path where everyone's running by and stuff. And they gave him a stink, and
yeah,
I think it was a woman's prison.
Yeah, I actually went and filmed
that
the next day because they trespassed him there, and we did a video on it, and they didn't. They responded to us by making the women go inside, unfortunately. But it definitely, he had the right to be there.
Check him out, Joe, there over at Breaking the Flaw on YouTube. Definitely appreciate your call, and thanks for the activism, man. Appreciate you keeping up the good work out there. Toll-free number tonight is 855-450, free like freedom. We got a full hour to go. Hour 3 is on the way. You can take control of the airwaves. More on piracy, plus your thoughts are welcome. Free Talk Live.
Mounds and mounds of fur. Our hairballs have hairballs.
Our cat Mama, she's 10 years old. She has dandruff and an oily coat.
I have 2 cats, Dixie and Daisy. Daisy sheds like crazy.
If you love your pets as much as I do, you want to do what's best for them to live long, healthy, happy lives.
DINOVITE.com.
I just tried this wonderful Catalicious Dynavite for cats, and my cat has been on it for 2 weeks. She is not scratching anymore. She's not chewing anymore. It is just the best.
I was thrilled when I heard Dynavite for cats was coming out because I'd seen the changes in my dog. To introduce my cat to Dynavite, I took the advice from Dynavite and put their food on top of just a scoop in the bowl, just to get them used to it, because I know if I even switch one little thing, they put their nose up to it. There was not one problem.
Dynavite for life. You won't believe how happy your cat will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
LA residents ordered to stay home. I'm Jack Callahan, Fox News. Coronavirus cases rising at what the health department calls alarming levels. LA is going on lockdown. A stay-at-home order issued for Los Angeles residents starting Monday. Almost all gatherings involving people from different households banned, except for religious service and protests, which the order says are constitutionally protected. The order runs through Monday, December 20th. United Airlines has begun charter flights to pre-position Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine doses to where they will be needed. The Wall Street Journal reports the first flights today between Brussels and Chicago. The Trump campaign is headed to the U.S. Supreme Court with its claims of election fraud after being rejected by a federal appeals court.
A three-judge panel on the Third Circuit Court of Appeals has denied an election challenge from the Trump campaign, ruling the claims have no merit and lack specific allegations and proof. In an opinion authored by a judge nominated by President Trump, the panel wrote, "Voters, not lawyers, choose the president, and ballots, not briefs, decide elections." Pennsylvania has certified its election results, showing President-elect Joe Biden winning the state by 80,000 votes.
Fox's Jared Halperin, one of the two Wisconsin counties requested by the Trump campaign to recount its ballots, has finished, and the Milwaukee County Elections Director says the recount affirms that Joe Biden won the county by a margin of more than 2-1. And while the recount found a few technical errors, it did not find evidence of fraud. Wearing masks and clutching ads, Black Friday shoppers headed for the stores today.
This holiday shopping season is off to a very strong start, and that's in part because it really started more than a month ago as retailers launched early Black Friday deals, knowing that Black Friday itself would look like none other before.
Fox's Garrett Tenney in Chicago. America is listening to Fox News.
2020 has already reshaped how we work, and it's almost over. Businesses across the globe are challenged to be their most efficient, which means every hire is critical. Indeed is here to help. Indeed helps you find quality candidates quickly, so you can focus on hiring the person you need to keep your business going. Unlike other sites, Indeed gives you full control and payment flexibility over your hiring. You only pay for what you need, can pause your account at any time, and there are no long-term contracts. And now, Indeed's new way of matching you with candidates instantly delivers a short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job criteria that you can contact the moment you sponsor a job, making Indeed the only job site that can move as fast as you do. Right now, Indeed is offering a free $75 credit to boost your job post, which means more quality candidates will see it fast. Get started on Indeed.com/Fox. Offer valid through December 31st. Terms and conditions apply.
Wall Street reacting positively to word that the former Fed chair will become the next Treasury Secretary.
She may have demurred when asked publicly, but former Fed Chair Janet Yellen is widely expected to be named Treasury Secretary in the incoming Biden administration. If confirmed by the Senate, she would be the first woman to hold the position in U.S. history. The 74-year-old economist has been credited with helping to steer the U.S. economy after the 2007 financial crisis, experience that could prove useful after this year's COVID-induced slowdown. While Wall Street really seems to like the pick, Yellen's apparent selection is being viewed skeptically by the progressive left, many of whom hope for Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren, a fierce critic of the banking, insurance, and pharmaceutical industries.
Fox's Kevin Corke, the president-elect, is expected to name more appointments to his White House team next week. A shortened session on Wall Street Friday still generated 2 record closes. The S&P 500 up 8 points, while NASDAQ gained 111.
Did you know that 35% of high school girls report that they've only had sex with 1 or 2 partners a year, instead of having the living shit out of them by any guy they see?
Did you know that only half of all 17-year-old males report without a condom, even though it's really the only way to go?
There are thousands of American teenagers today who are unaware of the full benefits of your brains out all day, every day. These otherwise average high schoolers haven't been taught about every chance you get, pounding each other dry, and never ever pulling out. Every sexually active high school student should know this stuff. Ditch the condoms, because it's always better raw. Stop worrying about STDs. Every chance you get. Just keep and strangers, doesn't matter who. And most importantly, be direct with your partner about how badly you want to their brains out.
This is the Onion News Network.
While waiting to interview for a web consultant position with local marketing firm Bizco, applicant Ryan Ehrlich told Onion reporters he wasn't entirely sure he was dynamic enough for his prospective employer.
When I first saw that the agency was looking for a leader willing to contribute as a valued member of the team, I thought it was the perfect fit. But the more I think about it, the less I'm sure I'm actually an energetic self-starter. I mean, I think I'm a versatile independent thinker, but honestly, how do you even know for sure?
Ehrlich, who found Bizco's online job posting earlier this week, went on to express doubts that he truly possesses the forward-thinking instincts and next-generation idea assets required to work with the fast-paced marketing firm's team of self-starters.
Can I reimagine a brand for a digital landscape? Sure, but do I really have the energy, skills, enthusiasm, and passion to be a part of this dynamic, growth-oriented company? I just don't know. Oh God, who am I kidding? There's no way I'm on the cutting edge.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live, kicking off the third hour here. We invite you to join us. If you want, you can take control of the airwaves. Our number is 855-450, free like freedom. Coming up, we can talk about Black Friday. How'd it go this year? Obviously, things were a little different than previous years, what with the whole COVID fear-mongering insanity going on. Also, we'll get back into the piracy story that we started up about IP television. We'll explain what's going on with that. And with you in the studio tonight, you've got me, Ian.
Nobody.
And Chris.
We're going to your phone calls and thoughts to start things out here, though, in hour number 3, to Steve in Connecticut. Steve, watching us on our DLive video feed over at dlive.lrn.fm. You're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Yes, hello, fellas. This is Steve, the political refugee from Connecticut.
Hey, Steve.
Welcome, Steve.
I heard you talking about being across the street from the Attorney General's house.
Yeah, well, I mean, we were right there. I mean, it's a very small street, so...
Yeah.
I guess you could go on the street as long as you're not causing any type of traffic problem, right?
Yeah, I mean, we were right on the side of the street, side of the road.
He was way out in the sticks. You'd have to bring your own traffic to cause a traffic problem out there.
Here's the other problem. Like, New Hampshire doesn't actually ban you from crossing the street outside of certain circumstances. So, like, unless we were like between adjacent traffic lights or, crossing diagonally at a traffic light
without light anywhere in the vicinity.
There probably wasn't really a whole lot they could successfully, prosecute on, and they didn't try.
These cops were on their best behavior.
Yeah, I mean you
didn't get a summons for jaywalking or anything.
No.
Right, which is what I would think that they would probably try and go after you with something of that nature.
How could they? There's no traffic lights anywhere.
Right.
I mean, they will. They'll do it if you're
in a state that has a jaywalking statute
that aren't illegal.
That's true too, but
well, you got hit with what was essentially a jaywalking statute,
and then they dropped
beat
it.
That.
Yeah, so
and that was in Manchester, a city.
Right. Yeah. So
there was no traffic light even, I don't think, anywhere in Deering, New Hampshire.
I doubt there was a traffic light on that entire road. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like I know
you were talking about current use.
Yeah.
So the property across the street, if it's in current use and it's owned by whoever, the person across the street, the Attorney General.
The Attorney General, yeah.
You could get a fine for trespassing unless they take the additional tax.
You cannot trespass on land that's in current use.
No,
in current use means it is open to the public to use.
If it has the additional recreational easement for an additional tax break.
Yeah, see, I don't know about that.
Residential use, current use. I believe it's residential use, current use, and current use with the additional easement for recreational use by the public.
Okay, yeah. See, I don't know a whole lot about it. The people that we were there with seemed to know a thing or two about current use, and
we're somewhat speculating here, just to be clear.
I live
we
in
don't
the
actually
city,
know
so
for sure.
I don't have any
is.
current use property.
Right.
But my understanding of current use, at least in New Hampshire, because Mark Edge, who's one of our co-hosts,
we know people with current use property.
Mark Edge, actually,
my property is current use.
It is in New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm.
My property is in current use right now.
Okay.
But I didn't take the additional recreational public easement.
Interesting.
Okay.
So there might have been something more that it may or may not have. So here's the thing. What was speculating, okay, again, this is all speculative, but we think that they did not have no trespass signs, which may, and one of the things that would, if it's in current use, right, and we're assuming that, but if it is in current use and you do not have the no trespassing signs, it may be because that's not allowed if there's the recreational thing also.
So hold on, Steve. Are you saying that if a property is in current use without the recreational aspect, that therefore it is illegal to go on that property?
It's private property unless you have the public use with the recreational public easement.
But doesn't it have to be posted? Doesn't no
That
trespass
I'm
have
not
to be
sure about, but I know, like Chris, like you were saying, that if it doesn't have a no trespassing sign, you would be under the auspices that, I guess I could go here because I don't see a sign. But it could, if there is a snowmobile trail on there, if there's hiking trails that connect to other properties, then you can get the additional tax break, but then the public can legally walk all over your property.
Okay, interesting. Because I'd always just heard it as just current use. People can go on there unless there's signs posted that say that you can't. So
and that may be different town to town. There could be different
I don't know.
ordinances.
I actually went and I pulled up the property because all we were doing was speculating at the time.
Yeah.
I actually went up and pulled up the property listing for Deering, and I pulled it up, and it actually had it listed as like a hardwood something or other, so it didn't have any sort of current use terminology in there.
Right, mixed forest use. Yeah.
Yeah, it was something like that. What is that? Do you know anything about that?
That's, I guess, strictly if it's landlocked forest land, you'd have to have get permit. Like if you have landlocked without any address or any street way to get in on the street, you'd have to have clearance by the person who owns the property on the street to get through their property.
Wait, that's not.
No, it's not landlocked. It's right on a road.
Yeah.
Clearance.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it doesn't really even matter because it's a hill, and so like you wouldn't be able to do anything.
Die on it.
You wouldn't be able to do anything with it anyway.
I hope
the humorous part of it is if it was in current use with the extra provision, and that technically you mean that you could camp on it. It would have been funny had it,
to have a camping festival.
Do a camping festival right next to the house. But yeah.
Hey, Steve,
you guys have a good day off tomorrow.
Oh, there's no day off for us. We're
Definitely
always
not.
doing something
Ain't
here.
no rest for the wicked.
There's actually going to be a Trump. I don't know if it's I guess you could technically call it a Trump event. Trump's not going to be there, but there's been this so-called Stop the Steal rally that has been going on here in New Hampshire for the last several weeks. This I think will be week number 4. They're doing that in Concord tomorrow, and I went there last week and handed out some secession flyers, and so and I spoke actually to the crowd. So this week I'm going to speak on secession again. That's my intention tomorrow. So we'll be busy.
We have the CT Liberty rally going on at the at the Capitol in Connecticut, Hartford, tomorrow for 2 hours, noon to 2. CT Liberty rally. Lots of libertarian small business. It's Small Business Saturday. Lots of small businesses getting shut down. So
that's
we're
so
rallying
sad.
Tomorrow at the Capitol in Connecticut.
All right, Steve. Thanks for the call tonight, man.
We'll see you at Lord Sununu's castle on Sunday.
Sounds good. Yeah, he's referring to the Lord Sununu, His Excellency Chris Sununu, the governor here in New Hampshire. Protests began at his house on Sunday, this past Sunday, and they will continue this coming Sunday. And I believe nobody. Are you planning on going again?
Yeah, nobody's going to show up.
All right. So, yeah, we're heading out there. Chris, you've been thinking about it. You may be too busy.
I really don't have the time, so I'm probably not going to be able to make it.
It's a big time sink.
Yeah,
You've got to go
I've already
drive for an hour and a half, or an hour and 40 minutes just to get there.
I already do way too much in terms of activism and stuff, so it's like...
Well, the good news is there were like 100 people there last time, so if we can keep those same numbers or grow them, you won't be missed because there'll be a lot of people there.
I suspect that it won't be a big deal if I'm not there.
Yeah, people were talking about bringing more people the next time, right? Because, when you go to a place for the first time, you don't know the lay of the land, you're not familiar with it, and it turns out that Chris Sununu's house is actually really well set up for a protest. It's got a whole lot. There's a lot of there's a lot of land area that doesn't have houses on it. He's only got 2 immediate neighbors, so you're not bugging a whole neighborhood or anything like that per se.
The Domino's is very friendly.
Yep, there's plenty of places to park, and there's actually a little circular, like he's on a cul-de-sac. So on the inside of the cul-de-sac, the inside of the circle, there's a little park, which is a perfect little spot. It's right across from his house, and there's literally a park in which there's benches, and you can just kind of hang out there in the park and protest. It worked out really well.
This time I'm bringing camp chairs.
It's kind of humorous. I forget what somebody said exactly, but it was something like, he's working from home, so it is the most appropriate place to go and protest because it's now effectively the state house or the office, the governor's office.
I guess.
Yeah.
855-450-FREE. That's the toll-free number. We're going to get back into piracy as a topic, intellectual so-called property. And we'll get back into IP television and some of the new tools, apparently, that the copyright holders want to cram down our throat to stop people from watching things they want to watch. 855-450-FREE is the toll-free number. If you want to join us, you can take control of the airwaves. Also, what's Black Friday been like where you live? Did you go out shopping today? Was it dramatically different from previous years? It's Free Talk Live.
Pork chop, his coat is very thick. He's an Akita, German Shepherd, Lab, Husky mix. Harold, the Border Collie Pit mix, has the most beautiful jet black coat. Stuart, my rat terrier, has fur now where he never had it before.
DINOVITE.com.
Dynovite will give them a beautiful, lustrous coat. It will make you smile.
You get some Dynovite, how happy your dog will be.
DINOVITE.com.
News from news.bitcoin.com. Early Bitcoin wallets cashing in. Is Satoshi back? Investment expert Dr. Doom calls Bitcoin a store of value. Bitcoin Cash forks. Everything's fine. Bitcoin price surges above 18,000 US dollars. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com. Free Bitcoin Cash when you download their wallet at bitcoin.com.
Every year, over 1 million fires burn in America. Fortunately, firefighters are on the job, saving life and property, and you can be a part of it. 7 out of 10 firefighters and emergency responders are volunteers. There's no typical firefighter. Anyone can volunteer to serve their community. Volunteering as a first responder is really about having the heart and drive to make a difference where it's needed most. Your community needs you. Are you ready to answer the call? Learn more and find local volunteer opportunities at makemeafirefighter.org.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
A congressman recently revealed that legislation totaling 2,900 pages and involving more than $1 trillion was available to members of Congress for less than 48 hours to study and consider. That's over 60 pages of legislation per hour. Do you think anyone read the entire bill? I'm Jim Babka with DownsizeDC.org. Consider a proposal buried in a 3,200-page, $388 billion bill, which would have empowered committee chairmen or their agents to examine Americans' tax returns. When this horrible provision came to light, no one claimed to know how it got into the bill. One congressman questioned said, "I didn't write it, I didn't approve it, I wasn't even consulted." If your attorney represented you this way, he might be disbarred. But this is how Congress represents you every day. That's why DownsizeDC.org has created the Read the Bills Act. You can force Congress to read their bills before they pass them at DownsizeDC.org.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It is Free Talk Live. Open phones, as always, here. You can take control of the airwaves. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. You've heard about a bunch of cryptocurrencies if you paid any attention whatsoever to that world. So how do you pick which ones to look at? Well, you could look at Divi, which is one of your options out there, especially if you're interested in running a masternode Masternodes allow you to provide services to the Divi network and actually get compensated for those services. It's really easy to set the Masternode up. You just have to go to diviproject.org to get started, get the full node software, get that installed, and then it's just a few clicks away from there. Diviproject.org, you got questions, you want to connect to the team, the Divi team, you can go through their Telegram channel, which you can link to right from the front page of their website over at Divi Project, diviproject.org. So head on over there and check that out. As we go back into this IPTV story you got from Torrent Freak, Chris, and just to bring our listeners up to speed, IPTV is a way of delivering a linear programmed live television channel over internet instead of over a traditional cable delivery system with a box.
Instead of having
people too lazy to decide what to watch.
Instead of having a cable box, you have one of these IPTV boxes, and it hooks up to your television, and it's just like having traditional internet or a traditional television service, other than cable television service, other than it's being streamed over to the internet, and usually from not a source that's not authorized by the copyright cartels.
And arguably, so that's what the article's about, is those that aren't authorized and cracking down on those. But arguably, all digital television is probably now IPTV, right? Because there was that big switch over the last 2 decades.
Well, I mean, there technically is still broadcast television, which is digital, and that's not IPTV because it's not.
No, I wasn't talking about broadcast. I know what you mean.
Yeah,
I'm talking about cable systems. So
I don't.
Years ago, they switched over. They switched from analog cable to digital, and so those boxes are just IPTV boxes that are interfacing with their
digital.
system.
It probably is. Yeah, it probably would be sort of IPTV. It's just usually probably, I would imagine it's not going through the internet.
It's not. It's
normal.
a local network.
Yeah, it's a locally streamed sort of only within.
It's LAN for them.
Yeah. But I mean, basically, but I think a better example of IPTV is probably going to be something more like Netflix, probably, or something like that. But because there's boxes for Netflix, and so if you have a box that supports Netflix, then you can stream to the box just like you would.
Is it technically IPTV if you're not using TCP/IP? If you're using other internet protocols?
I mean, usually
there's an IP address behind it.
Yeah, usually there's an IP address behind it that's streaming. Otherwise, it probably isn't IPTV. But
plus Netflix is on demand. It's not a stream that's going constantly.
Too.
So we're talking about.
But there is like the Disney service, and I think there are traditional television, and so's YouTube. YouTube has something similar too.
They do. They have a live TV option.
Yeah.
Now.
So.
For those people, like you said, nobody that don't want to pick what they're going to watch. This is a dying technology. We actually we found out that Netflix started to program its own channel recently. That now in France there's a Netflix, what they call, I think it was Netflix Direct, where they just highlight they play their own shows basically. They play the Netflix owned TV and movie series that they.
You kind of have to wonder, why wouldn't you?
Well, I mean, it seems like going backwards, but that's what they're doing.
Well. Okay, right. As opposed to picking it yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm thinking of
Netflix made their bones on letting people choose, and now they've started their own cable channel.
Right. But I was thinking in terms of competing with other companies like maybe ABC or NBC or whatever those channels are. Right. If you're trying to compete with them, why license those channels when you can just create your own channel?
Oh, I see what you mean there.
That have
they've got
basically
the content. So
similar types of content, right?
So what's going on? They want more tools. You were saying they want to be able to crack down on streams as they happen, meaning there's a football game happening, somebody's restreaming that on the internet illegally. They want to find out that it exists and they want to take it down.
Yeah, and they want to do it effectively at the expense of little content creators, or not even little content creators, basically anybody who is not them, effectively. So basically we're talking about
people not big enough to be in George Carlin's club.
There's like 7 studios that own like 95% of the movie companies producing.
Isn't it interesting how every industry that's heavily government influenced ends up like that?
It is. So anyway, let's get into the story a little bit. So the rapid growth in streaming piracy demands a strong response. According to the AAPA, its members are concerned by the rapid growth and availability of unlicensed content online, and as a result, are seeking assistance from the European Union. One of the group's first targets is Europe's planned.
You know, what I always wonder is when people get sympathetic for these, do they really think that these bums, that the Weinsteins of the world aren't making enough money?
People think that copyright helps the little guys, the creators, but that's
nothing
not.
could be further from the truth.
Yeah, it's the exact opposite. It actually hurts the little creators.
Same thing's true with patents.
Yeah, it really does, and it's these tools are basically going to be used to undermine competition. They're going to be utilized to ensure that content that is completely independent of them also negatively gets removed. They will, or if it doesn't get removed, that they get the effectively I want to say royalties for basically somebody else's content.
There's a great TED Talk called "Copyright is Brain Damage" that I highly recommend to people who are on the fence on this issue.
Yeah, one of the group's first targets is Europe's planned Digital Services Act. So there's not one thing they're going to do. They're going to try and do a bunch of different things, which rights holders hope will include a strict know your customer rules, compelling. Now, this isn't
to get a TV show. You got to do know your customer now.
Well,
get anything,
maybe
you'll have to do know your customer pretty soon.
Let me tell you what know your customer is. Basically, what they're saying is whenever you sign up for some sort of internet service, right? You will have to provide your name, 2 IDs, social security number, something of that nature. It's just like opening your bank account.
Don't they already ask you for a social security number?
I've never presented ID to.
I've never presented. No, they don't. I mean,
well, okay, I'll tell you this. I think you can tell them no, but I know for a fact of people.
Oh, you mean a bank account?
No, I'm talking about cable. I've been told by people who've opened up cable accounts that they've been asked for their social security number, and it's to run a credit check.
You can do a deposit too, probably.
Oh, I've definitely been asked for my credit social security number. I've never been asked for ID.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha.
That's more of a credit thing, but this is basically
you can refuse it. You just have to be able to pay up front.
In this case, you wouldn't be able to refuse it, right?
Yeah.
So if you go to sign up, maybe possibly for an email account, you'd have to provide some sort of ID and social security number and 2 forms of ID or whatever. It's basically like just this drawn out process that would make it as difficult to sign up for online services as it is to sign up for a bank account.
God, can you imagine?
It's absolutely insane, but this is what these people
if you're getting thrown
want.
off it all the time,
and all to hinder piracy. Something that will only benefit them.
It sounds like this is going to be a real kick in the teeth to big data, and I'm always for that.
I'm not sure how this would be a kick in the teeth.
It would help big data.
Well, if you have to get on, if you have to do KYC to get on Facebook. Some people aren't going to.
No, this would be to get an internet connection.
It would be
that's what they're talking
everything.
About. More coming up here.
It's not just an internet connection.
All right, there's more coming up here. It's Free Talk Live.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to divvyproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from divvyproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. divvyproject.org. DIVI project.org.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions, or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. You bring up what you want here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Also, you can join our Matrix chat server over at chat.lrn.fm. That's where you can get the instructions step-by-step on how to join the Matrix server and interact with other Free Talk Live listeners. With you in the studio, you've got Ian.
Nobody.
And Chris.
We've been talking about piracy, specifically IPTV. That is to say things like taking a live football game and restreaming that on the internet for people who don't subscribe to whatever DirecTV, football pass thing that you might have, so they can watch the game as well. That's not legal, and they are trying to crack down, and they say they want new tools. And Chris, you were just telling us about one of them that is going to be some sort of a know your customer requirement. I misunderstood you. I thought you were saying it was know your customer just to open the cable account with a cable provider. You're saying this would be much more wide cutting.
This would be applicable to any kind of internet service provider, not the ISP, but the YouTube. You'd have to maybe
any website,
right? Anywhere you can post like video or content,
really?
Or a torrent, maybe. Yeah, that's basically the idea. It's
awful.
It makes the company whose service you're using liable for effectively what is being posted, and then they also have to have some sort of means of identifying you.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. What else do we need to know?
So
we need to know how to start an agorist ISP that gets around that. I've got some ideas on how to do it.
No additional liability exceptions, and they're calling this the duty of care. Like somehow it's supposed to be for your good, I guess.
I don't care.
Given the nature of its members, the AAPA majors on the need to introduce measures to mitigate the growth of pirate IPTV operations.
They need to keep raping you just as hard as they can.
Yeah. According to the group, represent a low-risk, high return business model that is being exploited during the coronavirus pandemic as people tend to stay at home. As the availability
Are they talking about restreaming?
Yeah.
When they're talking about the business model?
Well, they're talking about the companies that provide that illegal IPTV service.
There's companies that do that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's hundreds of them out there. And
I didn't realize that. I thought we were just talking about like a fan of the football game that just restreams it over the internet. You're saying there's actually like
there's
corporations
companies that provide hundreds of channels, if not thousands of channels.
Really?
And there's a lot of them. So
interesting.
You get one of these boxes. It's just like signing up for your, cable television service, and even better because they provide more channels.
Name brand channels like MTV.
It's like intergalactic.
Yep.
Intergalactic cable.
You can watch US, Comcast, all the channels that are Comcast, as well as
where are they based out of?
UK channels, and
are they based in
it's not one company. There's hundreds of these companies out there.
Are they Asia or something? Like I wonder where they're coming from.
There are operations all over Europe and the United States and the world. They're operating everywhere.
Wow. Okay.
I wonder if we could make some money.
It's substantial. Yeah, if you were, I wouldn't be talking about it on live radio right now if I wanted to go and do something. But yeah,
I mean, I'm a retired drug dealer. I have a heavy appetite for this.
But if you want to make money, this is definitely one way to make money. It's also one way to get attention drawn on you. But if you know what you're doing,
so do they charge a month? I'm
terrified of attention.
I'm not suggesting that you actually buy these services, so you may not know. But are they monthly fees, or do you just pay for the box once?
Nope, you can. So often they encourage you to sign up for like a year service or more because then they give you a discount. But it's sort of like subscribing to a VPN, service.
Oh, okay.
So you can subscribe monthly, but then you pay a premium. And if you buy 6 months, it's even less. And if you buy a year, it's even less. And if you buy 2 years, well, chances are the service won't be around 2 years from now. But
right,
yeah,
it's like a dark web market. It's going to be around for a while, and then it's
you
not.
sign up. I mean, you should know this when you sign up because it's pretty obvious, that
these are fly-by-night.
Yeah, fly-by-night operations that are looking to make money, but they do provide a service for a period of time. And usually it's good quality, and it's better than even frequently, like the source material might otherwise be in some instances.
Is it illegal for the end user to actually subscribe to these things?
So this is a good question. It wasn't in Europe for a long time, but there has been court rulings since that period. A couple of years ago, there have been court rulings at the very highest of levels saying yes, it is illegal to stream content. It's obviously illegal to distribute that content.
But would the user knowledgeably even necessarily know?
No, they wouldn't. And that's the other thing. How do you know whether or not a company is illegally providing you service or not?
Right.
And this is something that I
get around that problem by not caring very much.
It's always been a big question of like, how can you hold somebody liable for something when
they didn't know?
When it was they accepted credit cards, Like there's all these things
I
that
just
are like,
bought a box. I plugged the box in.
How do you
looks legit.
know that this is illegal? And there's not really any way to know for a number of reasons. One is because there's not a list of copyrights anywhere. You can register something as like a copyright for something, but it's not necessarily the case that you have to. It's the difference between whether or not the company who owns the copyright, when they go after you, whether or not they're going to get I think it's like 3 times the damages, or if they're just going to be able to recoup their, the cost of that, that video that you pirated, right? If it's registered, then they can get the cost of that DVD that you streamed or downloaded or whatever, plus, multiply that by 3. So.
All right.
Yeah. As the availability of illicit content availability soars, the AAPA says there has been a lack of quality and response rate from online intermediate to take down notices. Basically, they're saying companies aren't doing enough.
They're too slow.
Yeah. As a result, the European Commission's intention to lay down more stringent rules is encouraging, but in no event should that lead to new or broader liability privileges, exemptions, or protection regimes already provided for by existing law. So basically what they're saying is, I think this is, I get the impression that this is effectively Torrent Freak saying that. So basically what I think Torrent Freak is trying to say is that it shouldn't come at the cost of companies becoming liable, but that's what the entertainment cartels want. They want to make the companies liable.
The companies that are streaming it?
No, the companies that are providing hosting services, domain registration services, things of that nature.
Oh, so
the big data wants the internet as locked down as the airwaves are, so nobody can broadcast without a license.
That's spot on accurate as to what they're that ultimately what the entertainment industry wants, the cartels.
Yeah.
So let me see if I'm following you here. So you're saying if not that I'm doing this, but if I were to launch one of these IPTV services, lowpricetv.com or whatever, right? And I register that with some domain name registrar, they're saying they would be able to target the domain name registrar as they would be liable for registering that?
That's what they would like, but one of the things that they want to do is force the domain registrar to get like an ID from you and like a social security number, so that because right now if you sign up for a domain name,
you can put in fake info.
You can put in fake info, right? Exactly. So this will make you...
You can pay with Bitcoin on some sites and come in through a VPN.
It's anonymous. They frequently will get the information. They'll subpoena the information from the domain registrar.
Right.
The domain registrar will respond. They will get a fake information, and then they can't do anything with it. So what they want to do is they want to force these companies to, ID you effectively.
I see.
And that way...
Bad news.
Yeah, and this is bad for a number of reasons.
Because it speak freely on the internet.
Exactly. They want to take away your free speech rights. Or whether they care or not, it doesn't matter to them. What they care about is making money, and as the side effect of that is that your free speech rights get curtailed.
Yeah. Okay.
That's part of what they care about. But all the people running those entertainment companies are in George Carlin's little club, I'm sure they do want to have control over everybody's speech as well. But 6% that actually gets broadcast licenses.
Well, don't forget
in the 6 companies that actually get broadcast.
Now, this is just a proposal. They haven't actually passed this yet, right?
They haven't passed this. This is what they want to pass.
If they do pass it, what's going to happen is these companies that are under the EU jurisdiction, they're just going to apply it to the whole globe. They're going to say, you got to show ID if you're in the EU and everywhere else.
Well,
right?
I don't think this is going to work effectively what they want, because why would you sign up for a domain registrar that's in Europe at that point? I mean,
if you didn't know any better.
Yeah, register your domain someplace else.
Right. But it's still an attack on, people's freedom of speech,
absolutely,
and so on.
Actually, I would say go with Namecoin. Go with, why even buy something from the official internet government registrars?
Because no one can browse Namecoin.
I would agree. Optimally,
addresses.
That's where we need to head. But you need to get people on those services. You need to get domains set up with,
You need to have browsers that can browse
there.
Right,
exactly. We don't really have that.
It would be very easy, though, because you would just have to gateway it into your own DNS server.
855-450, free like freedom. You can join us here. That sounds really easy.
Easy,
Free
right?
Talk Live.
Trading involves financial risk and is not suitable for all investors. Past results do not guarantee future performance.
Stock market have you nervous with all the massive fluctuations? With the hope for a COVID vaccine on the rise, shifting political landscape, and the election at an end, it's virtually impossible to guess what will happen next. With Vantage Point, you don't have to. Text MONEY to 411-411 to find out how our technology can forecast market trends up to 3 days in advance with incredible accuracy. Text MONEY to 411-411 to get what you need to stay ahead of market trends and find explosive moves before they happen. Vantage Point's patented technology analyzes huge quantities of global data in seconds. Stop guessing. Start predicting trends 72 hours in advance. Text MONEY to 411-411 and experience Vantage Point for free. Text MONEY to 411-411 so you can protect and grow your capital now. Don't wait. Text MONEY to 411-411.
Go to VantagePointSoftware.com for terms, conditions, and privacy policy.
It's not over. Sadly, our nation is going through tough times again, with no end in sight, and nobody knows what might happen next year. That's why it's a good idea to plan ahead so you aren't caught off guard. Nothing's more important than having enough food to eat, and we're here to help. We're My Patriot Supply, America's leading emergency preparedness company. We provide long-term emergency food that lasts up to 25 years in storage. When grocery stores run empty or disasters strike, our foods will be there when you need it most. Act now and secure at least a 4-week emergency food kit full of tasty meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. We have dozens of emergency food storage kits to choose from. When the government tells you not to go out, you can have the peace of mind that comes from being prepared. When you order from MyPatriotSupply.com, your food will arrive discreetly at your doorstep in no time. Prepare today. Time is short. MyPatriotSupply.com. That's MyPatriotSupply.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people like passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Dial in, toll free, bring up whatever you want here. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Ian with you.
Nobody.
And Chris.
Forkfest 2021. Join us in the summertime of next year, June 28th through July 4th. Mark your calendar now for Forkfest. It will be the 5th Forkfest. This year was the 4th. It was a great one this year. We're expecting it to be great next year. It may be the only thing you can do in the summertime if all this COVID crackdown insanity continues, and seems like they're not letting up anytime soon. So plan for this one because we're going to be there, and we hope to see you there. It's going to be a decentralized libertarian camping festival in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. There's no better place to be for Independence Day than around freedom-loving people here in the Shire. Go to forkfest.party. You can learn more about the event there. Forkfest.party. It is unofficial website because nothing's official with Forkfest. It's, as I said, decentralized. So check it out.
Nobody's in charge.
Indeed.
Hey, nobody. I thought I was in charge.
So I want to change it up a little bit here in the final segment and get into Black Friday. Today is Black Friday, and usually on Black Friday we open the show and talk about Black Friday. We talk about we play the audio from the fights.
So
and
what is there to talk about?
I'm sick of the story.
You're sick of the Black Friday story?
Yeah, the Black Friday story. It was always stupid. It's like, yeah, there are always going to be knuckleheads who go out and do stupid stuff. Blah. Who cares?
Well, I find it to be pretty interesting in sort of like a train wreck kind of way. Like you can't pull away and look away from it. There's
I can do that.
Oh, it's good. There's something that's particularly, I would say, entertaining, sort of like pro wrestling, right? Like watching people fight over products in store aisles.
It is interesting to see what you find entertaining, though.
And in this case, there isn't a whole lot of fight stories in the news today, although I did find one of them.
Oh, the fight's gone out of them.
One person, supposedly there weren't as many people there. One person was injured during an altercation in Long Island's Roosevelt Field Mall. Officials say the fight broke out in the mall's food court during a packed day of Black Friday shopping. So some are describing things as busy, but others not so much. Shopper Robert Reed said a lot of long lines wrapping around stores and a lot of people in groups kind of just standing in the middle, he said. At least a dozen police officers secured the scene inside the mall while police swarmed the mall from outside. They say the victim was a juvenile who suffered non-life-threatening injuries, which may have included a stabbing, apparently, according to this.
It may have. They're not sure. Usually they can identify one of those pretty quickly, but they might be testing to see if it's COVID.
So in other news, they are saying here that the pandemic kept crowds thin, according to the AP.
No. The government kept crowds thin.
Well, maybe that's true, but people are afraid, nobody.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't see the fear. Like the first couple of weeks, I did see fear when I was walking around. People would like shy away from me.
They still do.
Nobody shies away from me.
I've seen it happen.
So I'm gonna
in recent weeks.
I'm gonna say that I think in Keene it was certainly not as crowded on the streets and such early in the within like the first couple of months, I think, of things happening, and then it kind of got way busier, and now it's almost back. I don't want to say it's back to normal, but like it ain't. It's pretty. The roads are pretty busy these days.
I've had people walk aside from me, like walk as far away across whatever path or wherever, trying to push themselves on the other side of the thing on multiple occasions over just the last couple months.
Yeah, I've seen. I think I may have gotten one look when I was in a grocery store or something at some point, and it wasn't like somebody turned around and looked at me. It was just like a glance, right? But I don't know, like it doesn't seem that bad here relative to what I've heard from other areas.
Well,
like
yeah, New Hampshire's different, right?
Right,
like
right.
When the crackdown initially happened, remember back in March, we actually had a lady come up to our crypto meetup from Massachusetts, and she told us that, remember, Massachusetts has more people than New Hampshire.
Right.
She said that the traffic was 3 times heavier in New Hampshire than it was in Massachusetts.
Right, and that's kind of what I'm saying, right? Like, and I don't want to give the people the impression that nobody's wearing a mask. There's lots of people wearing masks, but it's still like there are people who are not wearing masks, and that's huge compared to other areas where there's not a single person on the street.
Well, especially in the more rural areas. Keene is pretty masky, but outside of Keene, it's not as bad.
Yeah.
In fact, we just had a
but
guy
even
visiting.
In Keene, there's people walking around without masks outside.
But when you get in the stores, not so much.
Right, and that's usually because there's signs on the doors that say you have to wear them, and most people just comply.
They do, and that's the sad part. So, but anyway, the guy that was visiting from Massachusetts tonight, he is so depressed down there because he has absolutely nobody he can talk to. He has no one he can relate with. Everybody is wearing. He even called it Massachusetts. That was his word.
And he's not the only one. I've heard this repeatedly from dozens of people who have come from other states.
So according to Star Tribune, so the AP, their story is describing crowds as, quote, thin. However, Rochelle Kelly, who was the lady that was arrested for bringing her kid to the park in Concord earlier this year, she went
Whatever happened to that case?
It's going to court.
Okay.
Yeah. So it hasn't had a meaningful hearing yet. It's still coming. She's got an attorney, Free Stater attorney Dan Hines. He's taken the case and reopen New Hampshire, or not reopen New Hampshire. The Liberty Defense Project is helping pay for her attorney in that case.
Yeah, she's still got a lot of expenses though, and I know there's a GoFundMe up, so I hope some people will toss her a check.
She went to the mall today, and she described it as busy. In fact, I said, well, take some pictures. And yeah, it's the busiest I've seen a mall. I mean, malls aren't very busy anymore these days, but it's the busiest I've seen a mall in, I don't know, more than a decade. So now that was the Manchester Mall. Again, it's probably different in other cities or whatever. But of course, a lot of people were wearing masks.
I would expect it to be more busy, though, outside of like Manchester and because Manchester's the big city in New Hampshire. So,
and by big, you mean 100,000 people or 120,000.
Right. And I'm putting big in quotes. But the point that I'm making is it tends to be the more rural, the fewer people wearing masks. So I would think that it would get, and more people, going out and doing stuff. So
they were wearing masks, but it was busy.
Okay, still fair enough.
So people, according to the AP, they're saying crowds were thin. However, if you look over at the Star Tribune out of Minneapolis, they say shoppers who felt brave enough to stare down a pandemic in search of deals hit the stores Friday for traditional day after Thanksgiving promotions, but crowds were sparse as retailers put in a myriad of restrictions to encourage mask wearing and social distancing. The Walmart on West Street in St. Paul was staffed up for a morning surge, but more than an hour after opening the doors at 5 a.m., only a trickle of shoppers had come in to do their thing.
So they did actually have sales on Black Friday?
That's what they do.
Yeah. What they
during COVID, I thought they wouldn't have such sales because you wouldn't want large numbers of people coming into the stores.
No, it's okay if you're making money off it, or if it produces the political narrative that you want.
I mean, I guess this is in New Hampshire too. Is this New Hampshire or is this not New Hampshire? No,
this
was
is
New
Star
Hampshire.
Tribune. This is Minneapolis.
Oh, that's Minneapolis. Okay.
So, and actually, as I was reading this story, the page just refreshed and an updated version of the story just popped in that is completely different.
Oh, wow.
So now they're looking at different malls, interviewing people here. One lady says, "We're just here for tradition. I've already done a lot of shopping online." So it'll be interesting after the weekend is when you usually get the numbers, right? So you find out how much Americans spent, according to like the National Retail Federation, in the stores, and then you find out how much they spent online, and you see that over the years, of course, the amount of online spending has been going up.
Oh yeah,
and the physical, big box stores have been having a more difficult time attracting people.
And this is their moneymaker. So if you don't do well, if you're a brick and mortar retailer, now you're basically
it's over.
It's over for you.
Right, because that's the name Black Friday came about because it's the day supposedly when the retailer is finally in the black after an entire year of doing business. Now they're, quote, in the black.
Only the Amazons and the Walmarts are making it into the black this year, I think. Maybe a few others.
So let's see here. They talk about different experiences. Mall of America traffic was down 60 to 65% from last year's Black Friday. But the Bloomington Mall felt livelier than it had since it reopened after the state-mandated shutdown in the spring. So more people were there compared to earlier this year, but compared to last year, it was down 60%, according to this.
And the other thing is there are places where people are more gullible than others. And so there are going to be places where people just buy it lock, stock, and barrel, and there are going to be places where people don't. It's going to be a very localized phenomenon.
For sure. Like the rural areas, people are way more likely to refuse the mask mandates than in the cities.
I'm going to have to take a look and see what our statistics are for Think Penguin.
The people I talk to in Europe are really not crazy about the vaccine idea.
I hope not, because that's what's coming next. All right. See you tomorrow night. freetalklive.com.
Mounds and mounds of fur. Our hairballs have hairballs.
Our cat Mama, she's 10 years old. She has dandruff and an oily coat.
I have two cats, Dixie and Daisy. Daisy sheds like crazy.
If you love your pets as much as I do, you want to do what's best for them to live long, healthy, happy lives.
DINOVITE.com. I just tried this wonderful Catalicious Dynavite for cats, and my cat has been on it for 2 weeks. She is not scratching anymore. She's not chewing anymore. It is just the best.
I was thrilled when I heard Dynavite for cats was coming out because I'd seen the changes in my dog. To introduce my cats to Dynavite, I took the advice from Dynavite and put their food on top of just a scoop in the bowl, just to get them used to it, because I know if I even switch one little thing, they put their nose up to it. There was not one problem.
Dynavite for life. You won't believe how happy your cat will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
The latest episode of Questioning Authority is next after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Another setback. I'm Jack Callahan, Fox News. In the Trump campaign's efforts to overturn Pennsylvania's vote count.
A federal appeals court has rejected the Trump campaign's latest effort to stop the state from certifying the election for President-elect Joe Biden. The case had been argued last week in a lower court by the president's attorney, Rudy Giuliani, who claimed widespread voter fraud in Pennsylvania. But the Third Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that, quote, the campaign's claims have no merit. The number of ballots it specifically challenges is far smaller than the roughly 81,000 vote margin of victory, and it never claims fraud or that any votes were cast by illegal voters.
Fox's Kristen Fisher, Trump campaign attorney Jenna Ellis posting the campaign will turn to the Supreme Court. The campaign paid for 2 counties in Wisconsin to recount their votes. Milwaukee County has now finished and says the results are the same. A large victory in the county for Joe Biden. The elections director says they found no evidence of fraud. Milwaukee County Clerk George Christensen.
This recount demonstrated what we already know, that elections in Milwaukee County are fair, transparent, accurate, and secure.
Reaching a 5-day average of more than 4,700 coronavirus cases a day, Los Angeles is ordering its residents to stay home starting Monday. Virtually all gatherings involving people from more than one household banned except for church services and protests. The U.S. has now eclipsed 13 million cases of the virus since the outbreak began, and more patients are requiring hospitalization.
Nearly 90,000 Americans are currently hospitalized with coronavirus across the country. That is the 16th day in a row those hospitalization records have been broken, and the data shows that nearly 18,000 of those cases are in the ICU or critical care beds.
Fox's Casey Stiegel. America is listening to Fox News.
2020 hasn't let up, but we have to keep this economy rolling. NetSuite will help your business make that happen. That's why over 21,000 companies, including Boll & Branch, makers of the world's softest sheets, choose NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything you need all in one place. We talked to David Reed, CFO of Boll & Branch, about how they use NetSuite.
Before NetSuite, we were stitched together with spreadsheets and hope. Now I have only one source of truth for our financials, HR, inventory, and supply chain. Because NetSuite is cloud-based, working from home didn't change a thing. We're still bringing affordable luxury into homes all across America. I'm now closing the books 5 to 10 times faster thanks to NetSuite.
Let NetSuite show you how they'll benefit your business with a free product tour at netsuite.com/Fox. Schedule your free product tour right now at netsuite.com/Fox. netsuite.com/Fox.
A warning that the pandemic is pushing more Americans to their financial breaking point.
Consumer debt and financial behavior expert Michael Micheletti of the Freedom Financial Network says there are programs to help consumers through this financial minefield.
You have to make those proactive conversations with your mortgage provider, your auto loan provider, your credit card providers as well. And if you cannot get the necessary relief in those conversations, then you know that there are still other opportunities, other tools, financial tools for you to utilize.
Micheletti says many people may file for personal